All right, what is up, everybody? We are live back for the Sunday live stream. We are here during the second half of the second Elite Eight game of the day, and fortunately, oh, hot start, hot start. Okay, there we are. Unfortunately, the mic went out. Okay, unfortunately, the games have not necessarily been as competitive as the games before them, but again, that worked out because Michigan cruise to Final Four appearance. We'll be the only show talking about the Final Four and not addressing Michigan because we don't want to jinx anything. It is what it is, but they're back. It's the first time since 2018. Hey, yo, but Duke versus UConn has not necessarily, again, been as close. Maybe, of course, the Cam Boozer matchup was going to be a little bit difficult. Actually, he just got called for an offensive foul. They actually had a little bit of mercy there for UConn this time. And, 16 points is bad versus Duke. I guess just in theory, blank slate, 16 points, not impossible to make that up in a second half. But they did get the ball to start, and they had an open corner three and missed it. So, just immediately, like 15 seconds in the half, you go, okay, even, 13 to 16, again, little differences. It is what, hey, it all matters, Chad. It is what it is. But right away, Duke, a little inbound layup to start. And again, UConn hanging out in that 15-point range. But if they were able to make up some of those points early, it would have been nice. But even more exciting than that. And I guess, we need UConn to make the comeback in this game as well, too, because they're on the line for us going 4 for 4 in our Final Four. And maybe we just got a little too cute going one too many there with UConn. Oh, because this is literally the pick that we have in our bracket is UConn over Duke. And we went Illinois in the, I guess I don't know what section they're in, the bottom right, bottom left. I guess Michigan's bottom right, but bottom left quadrant of the bracket. We ended up picking Illinois, which of course ended up working out because we had Illinois over Nebraska. They ended up beating Iowa, whatever. But we ended up not picking the one seed. It looked like maybe another tournament like last year where it's like, okay, are the favored one seeds going to kind of find their way to the Final Four? And again, with the way Duke's playing, it looks like it's going to go 3 for 4 anyways in that way. And again, Illinois is not like, in some ways, a surprise team as well. Again, a lot of people maybe were... Oh no, we're not performing like Michigan basketball today. Hey, the microphone, it is what it is. But regardless, what is it? I guess, a lot of people were eyeing that Houston game as maybe a tough one. Maybe, like we're saying, Houston makes the run. I would say if we looked at the stats, Houston probably was the most picked Final Four team out of that region. And like we said, I guess we just got lucky this year that the offensive team got the win over the defensive team in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't seem like, unless it's Houston, it doesn't seem to work out that way. And I guess Illinois versus either of these teams, it does seem, do we have Illinois in the Natty? I go, no, we have UConn in the national championship. So yeah, a lot of points on the board for our bracket here if UConn does go out. But I guess what are you saying? Even more exciting than the tournament games. We've, of course, are getting closer to the NBA playoffs, a couple of weeks away, and we've got a little We might just have to take it from the top, chat. Hey, this is a disaster. I'm barely even moving. I'm barely even moving over here. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. IT, get some duct tape. This is. I think we promised that before, but clearly IT has not made the adjustments. Pause. It is what it is. So I guess. Hey, we'll see. Stay tuned. Stay for the ride, chat. Pause. It is what it is. But I guess Celtics Hornets. I guess they know we're going with the takes. They're trying to unplug the mic before we get there. It is what it is. But we just like this Hornets team, and we're in a good mood because Michigan's in the Final Four. So, we're getting hyped up. But maybe this goes to why we are confident in the Celtics in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs this year is because I kind of like the Hornets as the second best team. Is the mic going to unplug again? Okay, hey, maybe it is an okay take. We're not going to be, unfortunately, or unintentionally censored. Or we're not censoring ourselves. No Jaylen Brown tonight, and the Celtics are already up. So, again, with Tatum back, I think they definitely move into a class of their own. And it would still seem a little impossible. Not impossible, but it would still seem a little a little eyebrow raising anyways if they were able to go into a 7-game series and get a win over New York. Obviously, the Pistons right now are in a little bit of a different spot with having Cade sidelined with the injury. And, you hate to say it. You hate to say it. And he is obviously having a great season. We hope he gets back healthy soon. And it seems like, that is the case as well, too. I'm not exactly certain what the timeline would be for that. But, again, it does seem like he would be making, of course, a full recovery. Let's see if we can get a little update here, actually, on what is going on since we are thinking about it. Is Cade Cunningham playing today? Out. Okay, so the Pistons fans learn crucial truth about Cade Cunningham's absence. Okay. I guess nothing immediate in terms of reports. Let's see what we got here from 2 days ago, according to this article. Out indefinitely at this point. Again, with the collapsed lung, we hope everything ends up working out okay for him there. But I guess the record, I guess like they're saying, has been okay without him. Yada yada yada. So it doesn't necessarily look like there is an update for the injury itself. Dennis Jenkins, shout out, having a great run. And, Duren as well, too. We've definitely been highlighting his I mean, the Pistons have had, you got to give Cade his credit for what he's done in terms of being the lead, I'll say best player as well, too, but the lead guard on that team. I guess the only reason I do hesitate to say best player is because, again, Duren is really, really good, and it may be a sneaky trade value thing with, centers that play like Duren versus lead guys that play like Cade, because Cade, again, is a really, really good playmaker. Like, see, a better playmaker than a guy like Edwards, but is Edwards going to give you still the overall offensive impact? And then, again, a guy like Duren maybe has we'd have to, I guess, really do the rankings there and see where we fall. Again, you'd have to have Cade ranked as a better basketball player, and he'd still probably be better if we were doing, again, our own version of the trade value rankings as well, too. But there is a sneaky case for Duren there as well. And again, some of the advanced stats, he might be a tad bit higher. Again, do they favor centers? And does Cade as well, too, help out feeding Duren pause like his efficiency? Again, it definitely, having a great playmaker, like we're saying, does definitely matter there for sure. But I guess point being, and literally, I'm looking at the standings right now for the East. The Hornets are the last team in the play-in. Hey, yo, they're the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, but I guess all 8, 9, and 10 are tied. So is that something? And then Philly at 7, 41, Atlanta 42. Even still, as much as we do, like, are they going to rip through the playoffs? I would be difficult seeing them get to the 6th seed, I guess, just because, again, like Atlanta, they are decent in the regular season. They're going to keep winning some games here. Toronto, I guess Toronto has less wins, but their win percentage is higher than Atlanta at this point. They're 41-32. Atlanta is 42-33. And then Cleveland at 46. And I guess Cleveland, with the Harden thing now, is the sneaky what's going to happen in the Eastern Conference. Again, with all due respect to, do we say, you have to say the great James Harden. It is what it is. He's one of the great guards of all time. There is still a little bit of, I'm not going to sit here and say, I totally doubt James Harden in the playoffs. James Harden can never, again, obviously the man can at some point hopefully have a good playoff run at a very important moment. It is what it is. And he has had those playoff runs as well, too. Like, let's be fair, everybody was missing threes in that Rockets game. It is what it is. Like, what if they had Donovan Mitchell? Do we have to go back and look at the score of that Game 7 Warriors-Rockets Western Conference Finals? Because they, again, were close in that series, and if that game is a little bit different. In that Game 6, where Steph has the incredible performance, again, maybe there's different moments where they could have closed out the series. But if Mitchell maybe is able to have a recoup performance, I guess, is that the sneaky thing, about James Harden? James Harden's never had anybody to make up for his bad play. It is what it is. And that's, again, not necessarily true because they have surrounded him with great players in the past. And I guess, you go to, like, the Brooklyn run as well, too. He just got injured a little bit at a different time because he was the first one hurt that year that Durant had the foot on the line. Was it Durant and Harden left or Durant and Kyrie? I guess, that is, I think, ultimately looking back, like, the what-if Durant season as the lead guy, up until this point anyways, as to if that team could have won the finals or not. Could he basically just had the run that Giannis had there through the East and then against Phoenix. Though again, maybe who knows? Maybe we're looking back like a Devin Booker ring would have been crazy. But regardless, could Mitchell maybe in the East this year have that type of elevating performance if Harden is not necessarily? And again, just in general, he's not supposed to be the number one offensive scorer guy. That is supposed to be Mitchell's role. And I guess that would probably be a little bit more, I guess, the Clippers as well too here with Kawhi, but their ability to even get to the playoffs healthy, and again, that's just a bit, that's a different level of NBA curse. Do the Cavs actually have a franchise curse? That is interesting because, the post, or we should say the non-LeBron years have obviously, for a majority of LeBron's career, have not been great. Though again, LeBron's played so long now that the Cleveland has been good for a while. Like, what's the math on that? I don't even know. Has LeBron outplayed Cleveland being bad? That'd be crazy. But but again, even I guess, not even the non-LeBron years, the LeBron years when he was there early were not that great. But you do have to, again, give him credit as a franchise. They have been better. And even before LeBron as well, too. Again, not a great, but the 80s and the 90s, like, they were a pretty competitive team. Again, their ability to actually, they had, as a city and as all of the franchises, they kind of maybe, do the Browns, the Cleveland Browns have so much of a, the football franchise have so much of a stink on them at this point that it just is cast over throughout the whole city? It might honestly be. I don't even know. But again, even in the 90s, like, that would have been when Belichick was there. Like, that Cleveland football would have been okay. So again, they were cursed from maybe a little in like the Minnesota type of way, where again, Minnesota is not cursed to maybe always have bad teams, but they are maybe cursed in like a finals way. Do we have to do the rankings of franchise or cities curses at some point? I don't know. Maybe we'll add that to our list of, like we're saying, ringers pieces that will have AI write for us. ChatGPT, write us a ringer piece about franchise curses. But what are we saying? Again, I think that is definitely, I guess what were you saying for James Harden? The setup of this team is maybe a little more comparable to the Philly teams. And we love Embiid here, and there's definitely some injury things to look at with those playoff runs as well too, but also some what ifs in terms of, like we're saying, those elevating performances that those guys can have. But I guess the point is, and again, maybe it goes to, like we're saying, and we've been saying, is the East now kind of Boston's to have? I think if we looked at the betting odds, again, it is kind of reflected, I'm assuming, last time we looked as well too. I don't necessarily know why it would change so much, again, considering they're even the 2 seed as well. And obviously they were there before, right before Tatum returned, that's where they were sitting in the standings. But I guess if I'm Charlotte, I fear nobody, is basically the point that we're trying to make. If we're Charlotte, we fear nobody. Of course, the LaMelo Ball, Con Kneppel-led Hornets, it is what it is. And again, the dynamic of the playoffs, the 7-game series, and their playoff experience as well too. Again, but maybe that's part of it compared to the rest of the East, because I guess, like, you would say, Miami has more playoff experience. Like, I guess, you can't discredit. We're just going to discredit everything Bam's ever done in his career. The finals don't count. The 83-point game doesn't count. But maybe their chemistry together as a team, Norm Powell and Bam in the big playoff moments, is it a little transfer portal-esque? I don't know. But Miami, the Magic maybe do have, for the most part, like Paolo and Franz and some of those guys, they have been together for a couple years. But again, I don't know and they have had their moments of going on some win streaks as well too. And you can see where, again, if they were able to get the cohesion thing figured out, like, you can see where the Bane element could be, really dynamic for this team, and they could really unlock a new level. But again, just unfortunately, it hasn't gotten there. Atlanta as well too. Like, Atlanta's a feisty regular season team, but in a playoff series, like, I think Charlotte versus Atlanta in a playoff series, like, again, Charlotte's not worried about Atlanta or Toronto. So then you get to that top 4, like we're saying, Cleveland, New York, Detroit, and again, you're not picking Charlotte over any of those guys. Oh, they're getting cooked tonight, Chad. It is what it is. They're getting cooked, but they're just too much fun. They're too much fun. It is what it is. So again, this is why the mic was unplugging, because it's not an actual take, and it's only something that we would say when we're just, we're riding the high of Michigan making the Final Four. But hey, sometimes the Hornets can play with the team. It is what it is. And again, the greater point is, and as it's been all year, is the Eastern Conference isn't really scary. And I guess, like we're saying, any of those franchises you could look, but maybe, again, to look at Miami and Orlando and Atlanta and Toronto, just the franchise sort of guy element of Charlotte is seeming to be there a little bit. And again, individually, do we know, like, between Knuppel and LaMelo and Brandon Miller, like, which of these guys is maybe the go-to sort of guy at the end of games? Oh man, Brandon Miller just shanked that one bad. It is what it is. Brandon Miller looking like us at the park today. As the weather gets nice, we gotta take advantage. We're locked in for 2026. We're not letting the hoop skills go away. We're gonna be better. That's the goal. We're gonna be better at basketball this year than when we started. I know that it seems like, okay, that might not be. That's a pretty vague, not difficult goal to accomplish. You might be able to get that in like 2 good practices throughout the course of the year. Like, okay, there's some good improvement right there. But no, we're going for improvement, Chad. Again, I don't know how we'll define. We're bringing the cones out to the court. It is what it is. We're going to start doing drills. We're locking in. As we start calling out these people for one-on-one, we were, imaginary Peyton Siva got cooked today on the pickup court. It is what it is. We'll see if our call out happens, if it works out in our favor. It is what it is. I think we've got one move. We've got one opening move. If we can hit the shot, if we're playing high school 3-point line in the pickup court and we can get this opening move, and maybe we can, lose the game 11-2, and then it'll be respect. But Brandon Miller does. It's not always this bad. Pause. Don't worry, it's not always this bad. Sometimes there's just performance issues. It is what it is. It's going to be a re-examination of the setup. But sometimes you just have to have these games. It is what it is. Again, Michigan's been playing so well, and we just, it's a little bit of a calm down. Shout out. And, hey, Boston needs to, Ron Harper, shout out. I honestly think, and, I think Ron Harper's just a good basketball player as well, too. We give him his own credit, but, you get the brother in the league, and he starts performing, and it's like, hey, I got to step up here. Everybody's, with all, I'm sure he likes it. I'm sure that he's a fan of the success that his brother is having. But, it's like, hey, I'm a good basketball player in my own right, too. So he has definitely been impactful for this team. Like, he has been a real rotation guy, and you can see him, giving him playoff minutes as well. And, yeah, Charlotte, it's just one of those games. Again, we're talking about him. It is what it is. LaMelo's 0 for 5. Brandon Miller is 1 for 6. But I bet if we go recently, and obviously, over the course of this calendar year 2026, they've been, like we're saying, one of the more fun offenses to watch and root for as well. But maybe this is, like we're saying, just that hope that something in those, those 3 guys would just be in a playoff series. And again, maybe it's not this year, but there is something to, how the league lines up as well, too. Again, is it aligning for Charlotte to win the East? Obviously not. But it is a little weaker this year. Is it aligning for them to win a playoff series, for them to make a divisional round run? It could happen. It could happen. Again, you go into the year and you're like, Charlotte, winning a playoff series. You're like, yes, that's a very successful season. I mean, how long has it been? How long has it honestly been since Charlotte has? Because they made the playoffs with Kemba, of course, was at that 3rd-team All-NBA season. But did they play Miami that year? I think they might have played Miami in the first round, and that obviously did not go their way. That would have been LeBron Miami years, if I'm getting the Kemba Walker run, overlay right there. So, yeah, lost the last 3 playoff times, lost the first round, lost the first round, lost the first round. So, 15-16, I guess, would not have been LeBron in Cleveland, or LeBron in Miami. But maybe they played Cleveland. I feel like they just got smoked by LeBron in one of the playoffs. It is what it is. But maybe it was 13-14 was that year. So, Sean Clifford, shout out. Of course, I would say they tried to bring him back for a couple seasons there. And did he just leave? Or did they actually just were like, it's not working out? It is what it is. But, he was getting them to the playoffs there. And they did make the playoffs as the Bobcats in 09-10. But it looks like back-to-back divisional round runs in 2000 and then 2001. And then 3 years of making the playoffs. I mean, they had that 90s run, of course, with Del Curry and Alonzo Mourning and some of those guys. Like, that was a fun team for sure. I guess some playoff round losses there. Again, matchup stuff. We go back where they play in like Chicago in some of those games, but here they lost to Ray Allen, and it was in 7 as well too. So a pretty close game. Even game 7 within 10 points there. Ray Allen, Glenn Robinson, Sam Cassell, Jamal Mashburn going toe to toe with Ray Allen in the playoffs. Hey, yo, he never gets brought up. 25 a game. I guess 39% from the field, but it's the aughts. Field goal percentages were different back then, except for Ray Allen, 45 and 42. But yeah, Baron Davis, 46% or 44% from the field, 40% from the 3, 16 a game, 16 and 4. So David Wesley, I guess maybe, and Jamal McGlure and Derek Coleman as well too. Hershey Hawkins was on this team. I mean, some fun names for sure. And then who did they, let's see here, get a win against in the first round? Oh, they got a win against Miami. Was this a revenge series against Alonzo Mourning at this point? Was he had to have been on the Heat then, because like we said, he's not here in Charlotte. So yeah, Eddie Jones, Eddie House, Alonzo Mourning, only 11 a game in this series for Alonzo Mourning, 48% for the field. Brian Grant, Anthony Carter, Dan Marley, 35-year-old Dan Marley, 5 a game. And it's just Bruce Bowen on this team as well too, before he was able to, find his rhythm in San Antonio. AC Green and Tim Hardaway were on this team. Hey yo, shout out to AC Green. We need to cue up the Dr. Dre song. You look like AC Green. Shout out, but it is what it is. We just get lost in Dr. Paul. Whoa, hey, yo, it is what it is. But obviously Dr. Dre, great music. Shout out, but and Jamal Mashburn, great playoff series. It is what it is. 23 a game. Was he All NBA this year? Did Jamal Mashburn make an All NBA? He did. 02-03. So was that the season we were looking at, or we were looking at 2000-2001? So that was 2 seasons before that. So 20 a game, and then he got hurt in his 30s. Hey, yo. So shout out Jamal Mashburn. 4th overall pick, 93 draft, 20 a game. Again, didn't quite get the accolades until a little bit later, but was putting up some stats for sure. So you gotta love it. The Monster Mash. I mean, Monster Mash is a great nickname. That's gonna want to make us watch Hubie Halloween. Hey, yo. Is that song might be more iconic than Hubie Halloween, but I don't know. For a generation, it is what it is. Hubie Halloween is right up there. It's a top Halloween comedy. What do you want me to do? Obviously, Scary Movie's number 1, right? And then I guess Scream is not necessarily a comedy. There is like comedic elements to it, but it's more of a slasher, right? So the slashers, I guess, kind of like are like obviously like the campier horror movies, but I guess do they go? It's not like a Halloween comedy, obviously, like Hubie Halloween is, or like Scary Movie is. But the Hubie Halloween Scary Movie Scary Movie. I mean, what are they on? Scary Movie 6? I guess because it's Scream 7 this year, but Scary Movie 6. So Scary Movie's catching up. It is. Will Scary Movie, based on Scream 7, will Scary Movie pass the franchise? Then we might get to Scary Movie 8 before we get to Scream 8. I don't know. Does it have to keep pace? It doesn't necessarily have to keep pace with Scream as in general as well too, because obviously it makes fun of all the different horror things, and with the horror resurgence, I mean, there's so much more to make fun of just based on last year alone. Weapons and Sinners, and some of the, like, I guess which one is Robert Eggers Weapons, or was he who did Nosferatu? Hey, you get Nosferatu, was that 2024, end of 2024? And then there's another horror movie that was last year that was popular as well too. Sinners, Weapons, and then was there a third in the mix? I guess I forget. I guess apparently that didn't have the staying power of those two. But I mean, even Weapons got the an Oscar nomination. I guess it got an Oscar win as well. But what are we saying? I guess Jamal Mashburn was a Weapon. I guess Weapon X is is that Gilbert Arenas? Is he Weapon X? Who's Weapon X, chat? Hey, yo. Oh, no, Brian Dawkins. Brian Dawkins is Weapon X. Gilbert Arenas, Agent Zero. Hey, yo, we're getting our task force mixed up. Hey, do we need an NBA comic strip? an NBA comic strip, Agent Zero, and I guess a sports Avengers comic strip. Gilbert Arenas and Brian Dawkins. I mean, that's a fun start, Chad. That's a fun start. You know, maybe not starting with, you know, you'd think, what are you gonna start with, like Pat Mahomes and Michael Jordan? I guess, hey, shout out to Tom Brady. You know, we're just throwing out names. We're just throwing it out. We just think that Brady's just be like, I think Brady would do the sports Avengers these days, though. I mean, Brady's available for appearances. It is what it is. And if there's, well, I guess, I don't know. Brady might be in a relationship at this moment. But I don't know. It seems like if there's like a beautiful co-star in the role as well, too, that Brady might be showing up. But I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to go through the W nicknames and see what's going on. Or like, what is like Sha'Carri Richardson's nickname? Hey, yo. Or do we need to assign a new superhero nickname maybe? I'm not sure. Does Sha'Carri Richardson have a nickname? Let's see what we got here for sport. Again, it's a compliment in sports. Obviously, Carrie, okay, you know, a name nickname for sure, but we're looking more like a sports one, because like, you know, you would say like Braun for LeBron, like, but you know, you wouldn't necessarily say that that's like his nickname, you know, compared to like King James. But the comeback queen, okay, you know, ayo, we tread lightly, but I mean, shout out, obviously, maybe the ability to have that sort of last, you know, again, that last push at the end of the sprint to be able to pull ahead and win. But it doesn't look like there is like a real, you know, basketball reference level nickname that has been given out yet. So yeah, maybe we like, you know, Storm or something. I don't know what, you know, I guess it could be any Marvel superhero, but, or any superhero across any what are we saying? Any genre? It's not genre. Any brand, I guess, right? DC, Marvel, or their brands. But, and I guess we just wouldn't know. Besides the one that have been on screen, you know, we wouldn't know the name. So we need, you know, it is what it is. We need more lady superheroes on screen. You know, what do we got? What are our options? Black Widow. They just, you know, they're just like 6 different versions of Black Widow. It's just like, okay, Scarlett Johansson, and now I guess you know, there's 2. Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, but you know, Black Widow, Scarlet Witch. You know, Captain Marvel. It doesn't seem like there's like a great name to steal there in general. I guess, you know, I feel like we would have to tread lightly in assigning maybe the Scarlet Witch nickname. Just, I don't know. Maybe that would have to be, maybe if there was like a expansion franchise that got the name the Scarlet and they were playing there, again, we tread lightly. I don't know, but it is what it is. But yeah, we'll have to see. So, Sports Avengers. We'll have to see what the best Sports Avengers nickname is here. Let's go. I guess we can hit the chat GPT early, pause, and see what we've got going on. Okay, let's see. And I guess we hate to, you know, drop Avengers Assemble so early. I know that's like a comic strip sort of climactic moment. But let's see here. Assemble the Sports Avengers. We've got Weapon X with... yo, chat. We need to go to school. It is what it is. We'll just let the autocorrect take care of it for us. Let's see what we've got here. Brian Dawkins. It is what it is. We didn't have any Weapons X trading cards, but we did have Brian Dawkins trading cards. And then we get Agent Zero with Gilbert Arenas. So who else is next? And this is Dr. Duncanstein. Does Dr. Duncanstein, is that a proper crossover? The Monsters franchise. I feel like any franchise crossover is there. I don't think there's a lot of, maybe we need to get Nosferatu in the mix as a nickname. There's not a lot of the monster nicknames out there. I guess, what do you got? Frankenstein werewolf? It's spelled a little bit differently, but I guess we got those two. Oh, the King James. Black Mamba, I guess, could be a superhero. Basically Hawkeye. I feel like Kobe, you know, rest in peace, a little bit cooler than Hawkeye. And definitely a little bit of a higher level Avenger than Hawkeye if he was on the team. But none of these are actual superheroes. The Greek Freak, the Diesel, the Megatron. I mean, they are superheroes for sure. Oh, Megatron. Yeah, Megatron does count for sure. Like we're saying, that's a franchise type of nickname right there, a franchise property. The Diesel, I guess, does that mean the Vin Diesel? Hey, yo, Shaquille the Vin Diesel O'Neal. I don't know about that, but that would be a franchise. Shaquille O'Neal cast as Vin Diesel. Yeah, that's perfect. He's for Shaq's like for family. Hey yo, that's great. So we got Vin Diesel, Megatron, again like King James, King Henry. I mean those are historical for sure, but I don't know if they quite qualify. The answer Showtime, Doctor Strange vibes for Magic. I don't know. Primetime, The Claw. Oh, like Ulysses Claw. Maybe it's going Winter Soldier here for Kawhi, but I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to stay tuned and see what we got. So yeah, there we go. At least for a start, the first four Avengers. There was more than four. There was, well, I guess the entire original Avengers. What do you got? Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, Hulk, and ScarJo. It's those five, and then I guess we may, and then Samuel L. I guess Samuel. You gotta put Samuel L. in the Avengers, right? I know it's a little bit different, kind of being he's an upper management, so I don't know what you consider him there, but he counts. He counts. And then I guess at the time that they are operating is Robert Redford's character is technically in office. We don't see him until Winter Soldier, but it's not like he just makes a sudden rise, right? It's just I guess do we get the obviously rest in peace Robert Redford, but do we get the Robert Redford Alexander Pierce campaign movie? That could be, maybe Sebastian Stan already made that. I'm not sure. But again, I guess and you wouldn't consider him an original Avenger, but at least he's somebody working. Phil Coulson is the sidekick agent guy that they have in the first couple, and he's like kind of like the weird post-credit scene MVP. And then there's the How I Met Your Mother cast member as well too that's on there. I don't know her character name in the show. I'm just gonna call her. That's just Robin. That's just Robin post life afterwards. Hey yo, what's Colby Smothers Marvel? And she's been in some properties lately as well too. Maria Hill. Hey yo, I guess Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe is where they would do more screen time for that character. I guess we haven't seen that show, so I'm not sure, but that's what it's saying here anyways. As I guess a top ranking S.H.I.E.L.D. member. But hey, I guess could be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I guess you would have to say that, shout out Colby Smulders is a original Avenger as well too. But again, is that included for the count? Is that included for the count? I'm not sure. And the Chat GPT is incredibly sexist as well too for not listing any ladies. That's crazy, Chat. No ladies. Right after we just watched the Tank versus Tyrese versus for the ladies, and we're gonna get no ladies on this. This is crazy. But Serena for sure. Stewie, is Stewie an Avenger, Chat? If we just have Stewie from Family Guy is that the right show? Hey yo, it is what it is. We need to watch more animated. But Simone Biles, the GOAT, shout out for sure. A1 for Asia Wilson, the Queen for Serena Williams, or Queen King. Hey yo, I kind of like that. It's like the Viola Davis movie. Shout out. But we got Big Sly for Sylvia Foles, DT Lockdown for Tamika Catchings. Okay, Primetime for Sydney McLaughlin Lavrone, and then the sprinter for the Olympics for sure. And then Sabrina Ionescu, Chef Curry. Oh, Chef Curry's just a superhero now. It is what it is. Oh, okay. I think we could respect Sabrina a little bit more, but point guard for Sue Bird, Sky Diggins for Skylar Diggins, and then FloJo for Florence Griffin Joyner, and then Lisa Leslie, the Enforcer. Oh, okay, chat. So again, no actual superhero nicknames assigned at all. It is what it is. Young Avengers, Caitlin Clark and Wemby. Oh, now the universe is getting crazy, chat. See, now it's turning into Battle World. It is what it is. But I'm surprised that there isn't actually... Oh, and we forgot about Dr. Duncanstein as well, too. Again, actual franchise... Guys, I guess that's not going to make sense. It's going to think of actual... Oh, Captain James, Iron Man, Tom Brady, Thor, Derrick Henry. I feel like we might have seen like a Thor, Derrick Henry Bleacher Report graphic at one point. Maybe after like a 200-yard game. But I don't know. Winter Soldier as Gilbert Arenas. No, is Winter Soldier Agent Zero? I feel like Agent Zero is kind of like his own thing. Hey, yo. Am I going to get canceled if I say Agent Zero's like a Frozone type It is what it is. Why do I feel like Agent Zero? Because Gilbert Arenas, Gilbert Arenas had ice in his veins for sure. I mean, I guess not the OG. Who's the OG ice in their veins? George Mikan? So I guess the OG ice in their veins is James Naismith. Hey, yo, for cooking up the game. It is what it is. But I guess, again, Agent Zero, I think, has... so maybe Agent Zero's like Frozone with the metal arm? Pause? Hey, yo. It is what it is. But, I guess we'll have to cook that superhero up a little bit later. But yeah, I guess shout out to Agent Zero as well too. I guess I don't remember exactly why we were looking at Gilbert Arenas. I think something Weapon X. We were trying to figure out if his nickname was Weapon X. But yeah, I guess either way, shout out the Hornets. They've had a fun year. Hopefully this is not just like a fun year. Hopefully this is actually the start of something for the franchise. I guess is that the nervous part if you are a Charlotte fan, because maybe I guess do I want to get dramatic and say maybe Charlotte's never had that, but again, what's that perfect intersection of having, and what if now we're gonna start seeing what the Spurs have right now, obviously the Spurs have gotten fortunate in the way some of the lottery stuff have played out. You got to make your picks for sure, but you got to get fortunate at who is available on the board at the given times. I mean, just even the fact that the lotteries of the years that they're bad, again, obviously things broke their way for them to assemble a team with this, seeming amount of potential. But for Charlotte to have that alignment of the young talent on the lineup to actually, have the core and not just have guys as well too, because again, I don't want to disrespect Kemba, who was a great player for Charlotte, but outside of that, it's even tough to think of guys that they've had that have made All NBA that have been on the team recently. So I know it again. It is outside of the fact that their jerseys are cool and that does keep them around. It obviously has been one of the bleaker teams as of recently. But again, they just haven't necessarily had that moment where you're like, oh, could this be the team for the next couple years? And maybe if they did, it would have been in the off season, before they actually started playing games. What is the moment when they were playing games together as a team, and you were like, oh, maybe this team could be something? And maybe the point is not to say that the Hornets team this year is obviously going to do something, but I do think, and maybe hot take, I think this Hornets core of guys could really, again, obviously, I guess you got to stand on business. I think that they could win the East. I think if you have LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Knuppel together and even Mark Williams still there. Who did they trade? Who did they not trade? Hey, I mean, Miles Bridges, can hang out as a fourth, fifth man on the team as well too. But let's see here. Oh, Diabate is the guy that's been balling out from. Diabate has been playing really well lately. Hey, Mark Williams on Phoenix, pretty sure, or somewhere else now. Who knows? We'll do a Mark Williams check in a second. But maybe again, still a couple of do they need another? Maybe one more wing. I guess the Bridges piece would be the other wing that you would need, unless again Bridges were to take a 6th, 7th man role and just compete for final 5 type of minutes. But again, either way, I think that, and we still believe in LaMelo on this pod. So I think LaMelo can be. I still think LaMelo can be a top 3 guy on a championship level team at some point in his career. Again, is it exactly right now at this moment? It could be. I guess if he's the 3rd next player next to Jokic. If you trade LaMelo for Jamal Murray right now, I think Jamal Murray's better. It is what it is. We're not going to sit here and debate it. Shout out. Jamal Murray has already had, more playoff defining moments, and he's won a finals, so we're not going to doubt his legacy. In a sense, and he is establishing a legacy. We're not throwing that word around lightly. Again, he's been insanely important. He's been one of the great playoff heat check guards, you could say. If we put enough qualifiers there to, include the word great. But, he's been one of the fun heat check guards for the 21st century for sure. And again, it's obviously been perfect match for Jokic. But, that's close. It's close. And again, is Jokic the one guy? But LaMelo next to Giannis, if you took this version of LaMelo and put him on the Drew Holiday role in 2020, 2021, whatever that year is, again, it's close. So I think again, is it maybe even me saying it's close is a little more respect as well too, because Drew Holiday obviously brought a defensive element that really worked for the identity of that team, for sure. But I mean, again, we believe in what he can ultimately be as a player. Even, again, even the improvement he could make just from taking the confidence from having the success. Because again, the proof of concept that you're a impactful basketball, not just a good basketball player in the league, but an impactful basketball player in the league, and figuring out how to manage all of those different ways of getting guys involved and still getting your points. And not just LaMelo needs to get his highlights, but it's just, again, he is he is just a natural shot taker sometimes. It is what it is. As we say it, immediately he goes down, fires up a 3 chat, stumbles down the lane, gets knocked around. It is what it is. He's still going to have those moments. I think, is it just strength? Is it just slowing down? Again, there is just a tad bit more of refinement that he does need to have. Because even if you just picture LaMelo dribbling around, pause, compared to Jamal Murray, it does. And again, maybe I guess we'll move on. But either way, Jamal Murray probably just as fast as LaMelo. I mean, LaMelo is not weirdly, but he is one of the faster players in the league for sure. But Jamal Murray is a really under control player, and does have, moments as well, too, where he can even go into a post-up and control, bigger opponents' paws that way. But there is just an ability to play, like De'Aaron Fox maybe, an ability to play fast, and maybe, again, LaMelo is still dialing in. It's just a touch more, and, it'll be there. But regardless, like we're saying, I think his potential is definitely there to be, again, a top 3 guy in a championship team. I think that Brandon Miller, the best version of Brandon Miller, is a top 3 guy. And I think the best version of Con Knuppel is obviously, I mean, you could say the best version of Con Knuppel's maybe the second best guy on a title team. Again, right now it is a little bit of them not necessarily maybe having, again, Wemby or Anthony Edwards or Cade. It's, LaMelo is right on the outside of that tier. And again, maybe Knuppel as well, too, because of the defensive stuff. Would he lead a team, that doesn't necessarily have the playmaking and the depth and the shooting already? The independent creation that guys like Miller and LaMelo have, do free up Knuppel in a way to be able to, create one-on-one in his own right. But, again, all 3 of those guys, I think, can be at that level. It's just, will one of them at some point ascend to be a real main first team All-NBA guy like that, or will they add that guy in the draft at some point? Again, that would be maybe a little bit more difficult, obviously, with them now. Actually, we're not making the case for them to be bad again, and then not focus on committing to getting better in the playoffs, or having that playoff experience at some point. Like we're saying, just get playoff experience. Get in the playoffs, have some good franchise moments here. But they are really close to having that. Pause. The core that the Spurs had, of course, before they brought in Wemby, and we drafted Wemby before we drafted Castle. So who knows what the team would have looked like, if it was the other way around. Castle might have been good enough. Again, that's just the luck of it all. When the guys were born, Castle might have been good enough to play us out of a Wembanyama pick at some point. But we were able to get Wemby, and then I guess you would think Wemby would play us out of a Castle pick, but fortunately Reese or Shea, and some of those guys were able to go before him. But regardless, the core that we had with Wemby was definitely a core that needed, we're saying, a number 1 guy for sure, but it was not a core that, again, was as good as this core right now. That could have maybe, and again, 30, are they going to be a mid 40 win team? But we weren't necessarily a mid 40 win team with Vassell and Keldon Johnson and that version of. I think, again, you put DeRozan with those guys, and maybe you're able to get to peak DeRozan, peak LaMarcus Aldridge with those guys, and maybe you're able to get there. But those guys alone, competing on themselves, you're not looking at that team going, oh, it's a fun team. It's a fun group of supporting cast members. And again, Vassell and Keldon Johnson are really, really great on this team, really, really invaluable. But again, it's been bringing in Castle and him being a number 2, Harper being there as well, bringing in some of the other depth guys like Harrison Barnes and other veterans to round out the roster. But yeah, we shout out. Obviously, Hornets had been in the team of the year, Sam's team of the year rotation for a while, but it seems like it's finally happened. It seems like it's finally trending in the right way. And again, it will be just, is this, is it a 1-year thing? Is it this core can stick together for the next couple of years? Because there is some timelines. LaMelo's contract is a little bit different than some of those other guys in terms of maybe when they would have to re-sign. Brandon Miller and Knuppel, I guess, are close enough. But, like for OKC as well, too, like to be able to get some of the guys consecutively like they did, or I guess, Jalen Williams and Chet were in the same class, right? So it's just like the timing of when you're going to re-sign those guys. There is they're literally on the same timeline. Like that's literally as close as you can get there. Unless Jalen Williams would have just been like, a 5th year, 6th year senior or something going into the draft that year. But again, in terms of an NBA contract timeline, it would have been the same, regardless of what the starting age is for the NBA player there. But yeah, shout out. I think that Charlotte is a fine team this year. And again, if Diabate is gonna give them some productive center minutes, seems like Cal Cabrenner, Kobe White, Josh Green, like they've got some NBA players on the bench. McNeely holding it down, Sion James, shout out. So, again, fun team, obviously. Fun team. A little overreaction to say that Charlotte would be the second best team in these, because they probably wouldn't beat Cleveland in a 7-game series unless, it got really tragic for James Harden. But again, I guess that's the fun of not having seen any of these guys in the playoffs. And it is a belief in in Knuppel as well too. Again, Knuppel is really hovering in a weird tier right there where, like, I don't see him as of, and again, hey, who am I to say? But as of right now, again, would he be first team All NBA, like the best player on a title team, or is he a perfect scoring complement in the way like Klay Thompson was? And throwing out a big name, obviously, but in the way that Klay was next step. And we were always wondering what Klay would have looked like on his own team as well too. So this could have been, and could you say LaMelo, the best version of LaMelo, is like Steph? I don't know if it is quite like that. I guess even we could admit that, that we may have to consider that, Steph might just be in a different tier at this point. For his career, the best version of basketball player that he's ever been able to get to, whatever year you want to define that as. But I guess I don't know what would have been the perfect guard comparison for Klay, because again, it's not necessarily like Knuppel has his own team, but he could in the playoffs take over as a lead guy. And I think that the thing that is helpful with this team this year is that there is a commitment maybe from LaMelo to let that happen, if it were to trend that way in the end of playoff series, or again, if Brandon Miller were the one cooking and they were running plays for Brandon Miller at the end of games, like, I think LaMelo would be totally okay with that as well too. Not to say that he's ever been, I don't know if he's ever been a guy that's just like, I guess maybe to some degree, I guess you don't have to necessarily be like in the huddle being like, oh, coach, get me the ball like every time on this last play. If you're just going to be, if he just can go out there and just fire away shots, then, it doesn't even matter. He'll be like, oh yeah, sure, that's the play. Yeah, absolutely. We'll run that. Oh, I'm open from 35. Whoop, there it goes. But what do we got for the Knuppel run? It does seem like he could be obviously that really impactful, efficient scorer that they need and that perfect connector piece. I would hesitate to compare anybody to our guy Ginobili. It is what it is. And, Ginobili as well. I mean, a shout out Knuppel. Everybody to some degree. It's what do we make case Knuppel better than Ginobili? Hey, Knuppel doesn't have no Euro step that Ginobili has. Maybe year one is Knuppel. What is he, like 19 right now? 20? Like Knuppel at 20 better than Ginobili at 20? Because he did have to wait a couple of years to get into the, not have to wait, but he did wait a couple of years to join the NBA. And then that first season wasn't necessarily like the 20-point-a-game scorer right away. Let's see, was he like 22 when he joined up here? Well, we can double check. Rookie Ginobili stats, it's fine. 25 when he first jumped on, and then 7 points a game that year. So still managed to get fourth in Rookie of the Year votes. Maybe a little bit of a slow year, the 02-03 class. Again, not necessarily a part of the 02-03 class, but that would have been the class that he would have been competing against for rookie minutes that year. Oh, this year Jamal Mashburn was 11th in MVP voting. Shout out. But Rookie of the Year, was that Amari? Ooh, Amari, 13-8. 47% from the field. Yao Ming, 13-8 as well, too. 49% from the field. So, I guess it could have really gone either way. I mean, 6 votes, first place votes was the difference. So, pretty close there. And then Caron Butler at 15 a game. Makes sense. Ginobili, 7. And then Drew Gooden, 12. Nene, 10. And then our guy Carlos Boozer at 10 a game as well, too. 10-7, 53 points a game. Speaking of the LeBron era, I mean, imagine the what if, the Carlos Boozer LeBron years. We might have to ask ChatGPT, could LeBron have won the finals with Carlos Boozer? I mean, yes, maybe, but not against San Antonio. Maybe the 09 season. Does 09 Carlos, what's the year he got hurt, though? Didn't he get hurt in one of those years? Does 09 Carlos Boozer help LeBron get past Orlando? I don't know if he would have been the matchup guy, because he does... again, for what that series was, that pace and space team of Orlando, it would have had to have just been like LeBron and Boozer are so good together and so good in the half court that Orlando has no choice. They cannot change the style of play at all that Cleveland has thrown out there. But yeah, I guess Amar, maybe Phoenix was just a little bit better than Houston. Let's see, 44-38 for Phoenix this year. Lost to San Antonio in the first round. It is what it is. What are you going to do when you run into a better team like that? But for Yao Ming's Rockets this year, 02-03, 43-39. And I guess just missed the playoffs. So that was basically the difference, I guess. But was Yao Ming more important? Was McGrady there yet? Steve Francis, 20 a game. Oh, and Coutinho Mobley, 17 a game as well. So this was a fine team. Glenn Rice. James Posey. I mean, you say the league wasn't talented in the 2000s, but Yao Ming, Steve Francis, and Coutinho Mobley couldn't make the playoffs? I mean, it sounds like the league was pretty talented to me. Boss Dan, whoever this guy is, shout out. But a rookie, I guess, from Serbia, maybe? I guess we'll have to ask Jokic about him. But Tito Maddox, shout out. But, yeah, I mean, again, like, could Ginobili have been... And with all due respect to our guy Ginobili, we love a guy that is able to maximize his abilities, in his role on the team. I mean, that's all you can ever do. And then, what happens is Ginobili goes down as one of the great players in NBA history, Hall of Famer. Like, he achieves everything that you want to achieve. As a basketball player, one of the great winners that we've ever had as well, too. Winner, high IQ, fundamentals, all different stuff. But either way, for, again, Knuppel, definitely a little bit more efficient offensively, so that, does help as well. But would he, again, like Ginobili, be able to elevate all the way up to the number one guy? Who's to say? But, again, that perfect complement as well, too. So it's a little like, Ginobili and Tony Parker in... Do you say, like, early Kawhi? But, again, like, early Kawhi obviously was a finals MVP in his own right. But Boris Diaw... it's like having Boris Diaw and Ginobili and Parker together on a team, but Ginobili and Parker without Tim Duncan, however good that would have been. I mean, that's a pretty high compliment, obviously. If we're saying Charlotte right now is like having Ginobili and Parker plus some other, plus one without Tim Duncan, like that's pretty amazing. That's definitely where you want to be as a franchise. So you see, Ginobili 47, 46, 46, 45, 44%. For his career, 44% from the field, 37% from three. So, I mean, again, who's to say that this is, this could be the best field goal percentage season that Knuppel ever has. As his responsibility goes up, as teams focus on him more, who knows if the efficiency is able to the numbers are able to equal the same thing. But 48 and 43 is, I mean, it's crazy. It is what it is. He takes 13 shots a game. Like, again, imagine if he were, like, that's why I can't doubt him, because if he were to up to 20, like, I mean, he'd be going crazy. Like, I guess, and it would depend on what his 3-point percentage. I guess he's taken 8 a game, so that would be, that's just a good number, regardless if you're a number 1 option or not. That's a pretty good amount. But 5 twos a game, so I guess if he's taken 20 shots a game, he's adding 7 2-pointers, so 14 possible points to his total, again at 48%. But I guess at 56% from 2, if he is at 12.3 or 12 or 11 point whatever, I guess he's at 8 exactly for 3-point attempts. So if he's at 12 2-point attempts at 56%, he's at 6.72 times 2, 13.4 points a game, plus what do we got? 9.5 points. 9.5 points is not even a thing. What do we got? 13.4, 10.5. So I mean, I guess he's at 20. Basically 25 a game with those numbers at that efficiency that he is having right now. And for a guard, again, I guess Steph did get to that 50% number, and those were the 30% seasons. Again, am I saying Concanopoulos, Steph Curry? I'm just trying to compare percentages. That's all. Again, I'm not necessarily saying styles are matching and roles are going to match on the team, but I'm just trying to think of who else at high volumes, was making 48% of their shots and 42% from 3. So again, I guess that literally is what Steph is for his career, which is crazy. Again, shows you that it is definitely going to be maybe a higher value season for him. But we've got, the year that Steph was at 30 a game, he was 50% from the field and 20% field goal attempts that year. And I guess the free throws as well too. We didn't see what Canuple's free throw attempts were, but even Steph himself, I guess, was only at about 4, which obviously, I mean, if Steph was like Shea, I mean, Steph would maybe, imagine 7-8 free throws attempts. Could he have been even more closer to that 30 range number for a majority of his career? So let's see, is Canuple at like 3 a game, 6 a game? What do we got here? Oh, he's not crazy high. So only about 3 a game. So he could double that as well too. So I mean, he's definitely looking at the best version of him as a player, being a 26, 27 point a game scorer. And I mean, if you're scoring 27 a game, like, you're not just a guy on the team at that point. And again, this goes back to the Klay Thompson argument as well too. But Jaylen Brown, and I guess Jaylen Brown does have that evidence, you should say, of like him actually being the Finals MVP. Like, that's maybe the thing that never happened with Klay, unfortunately, is he also never got a Finals MVP. I guess again, that doesn't get brought up in the Klay narrative the same way. But I guess for just a what if that could have happened, that would have been, obviously a big legacy mover there as well too. But I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, Klay Thompson versus James Worthy, like, not 1v1, but just like as players that you want on a team. Like, Klay Thompson's skill set is so high level, obviously, that it doesn't necessarily, I guess, matter what his accolades are in some sense if he's just performing that skill set that, again, he promises. But he was obviously 20 a game, his own right, peak of his powers, 46, 47, 46, 48, 46. So pretty similar numbers as well too for Klay. But 16, 17, 17, 18 attempts, and then 7 attempts. And then I guess, he would never really ever get to the free throw line, which would have been the big missing piece of the stats, for what could have been from a scoring standpoint. Because again, I guess for his career, he's at 2 a game. So literally, if he's at 4 a game, he's a 20-point a game scorer for his career, which, is a little bit of a different tier. I mean, I guess you say that he is that already because, what are we going to hold these 2 Dallas years against him too much? But, at the peak of his powers, again, he does move up to that 25-ish a game range. Because, again, bringing up Jaylen Brown, and, you know, a year like this year, he's going to be tasked with taking more field goals as well, too. But, yeah, his three-point percentage is obviously not as high as some of those guys' numbers. But at least, you know, a little bit more in the free throw category, you know, at least 4.2, maybe 5 some years. Yeah, 26 a game that year. He was 5. And he's, you know, 73% from the free throw line. I guess he could be, you know, another point and a half, maybe. Another point, maybe a half to a point for some free throw efficiency increase as well, too. I guess he's sitting right on the cusp of being a 20-point-a-game scorer for his career. Because we've got seasons of 6, 14, 13, and then from there he's 20, 24, 23, 26, 23, 22, 28, 22 a game last year. Yeah, the three-point percentage was a little bit off. And he leads the league in twos this year. But, I mean, you know, 52%, making half of them. What are you gonna do? He's balling out. And I guess he is finally over 80% from three. But yeah, you see 7.5% free throw attempts. Like, that's legit. You know, that, and I mean, that does seem to align with the way that he is playing now as well, too. Maybe there is a little bit more respect being given to him in a whistle. Pause from, hey, yo, you know, obviously, you know, we all love respect in the whistle. But, you know, maybe Jaylen Brown's actually get it. Oh, chat, did we just miss an epic comeback? Oh, UConn! Our bracket, chat, we went 4 for 4. Let's go. We needed to not watch. We needed the reverse jinx on UConn. We might have to fire the highlights back up. Hey, yo, we're over here talking about Con Knipple, and his team's losing. Oh, chat, Terrace Reed makes the dramatic finish. Pause. Hey, yo, I was like, why are they interviewing the UConn player after the loss? That's crazy. Shout out. It is what it is. It is possible. Look at that, 29 to 44 in the first half, 28 to 44 in the second half. Oh, I don't know if we've ever been perfect in the bracket. Not perfect in the bracket. We didn't get a perfect bracket. Bracket's not over yet, but, you know, perfect in the Final Four. So that's cool. Shout out. So I guess our hope's alive. Hope is alive for our predictions. Hey, yo, Terrace Reed, 26, 9, and 3. I mean, Cam Boozer out here, 27, 8, and 6 on only 3 turnovers as well, too. I guess we could see late game turnover if it was costly. Oh, chat, we're bad journalists. It is what it is. We got to go to break and figure out what happened. IT, see if we can tap in, pause, and get the footage. Charlotte's down 20. They're not even worth it, chat. Get them out of here. Conkenepo, LaMelo Ball. We're too biased. We got to figure out what happened, chat. Don't go anywhere. The chaos. Hey, yo. March Madness is mad all of a sudden. UConn with the 1-point victory over Duke. This is crazy, chat. We'll be right back. All right, chat, we'll see what we can get in terms of film, in terms of things to review here for the Elite 8 epic between Duke and UConn. The final shot from Mullins from 35 for the win. I mean, incredible stuff. Chat, we're bad. We might have to retire. Hey, yo, we are bad journalists. But UConn, I mean, you know, obviously, I mean, Michigan has paused their hands full with the Arizona matchup. That matchup is going to be crazy. Make no mistake. But, you know, in theory, if we are thinking big picture for the national title, going into this, I would have thought that from that side of the entire bracket, again, both the top left and the bottom left, you know, the entire left side of the bracket, I would have thought that Cam Boozer would have been, you know, if we were ranking scariest things in the tournament to match up against, I would have had Cam Boozer number 1 at that standpoint. Maybe Dan Hurley as a coach would have been number 2, and now maybe it is number 1 as well too, with the way that they are able to, you know, make the storm back here as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Duke has the major advantage there as well too, to be able to close that one out. So, you know, A.O. Shire gonna have to, you know, a little self-examination after that one. But, you know, the young team as well too is definitely gonna matter. You do have the little bit of, you know, some guys being left from some of the championship runs. Is Caravan going for his 3rd title? Is that what people are saying, or is it his 2nd? But for Hurley, you know, it would be his 3rd. And just again, sort of the Final Four run of this team is, you know, we're like, UConn, you've done enough. Hey, Final Four is good enough. You don't even have to worry about winning the national title. But yeah, for him, it would be his 3rd as well too. So there are, you know, again, for him, you know, the carryover effect of having that veteran in those moments, I'm sure does help. And they have their, you know, their freshmen as well too. Like, Hurley has done this with freshmen, like we've said in the past. I guess Klingon was a 2-time national title champion. So that's another, you know, again, there has been some minor carryover effect there. But I guess either way, it's a perfect ability to balance the roster. But then to match that with, of course, his in-game coaching abilities as well, too. Like, I know, you know, is it instant overreactions from them making the Final Four? But still, I think with his continued tournament success here, like, this is kind of an unprecedented run. I guess everybody does have, you know, their moments where they're at the top of the college game. But again, he has replenished this team several times as well too. This isn't necessarily, say, like 90s Duke, where it's like, okay, you know, Leitner there for 4 years and Grant Hill for 4 years or whatever, you know, was UNLV, was Larry Johnson. He might have only been there for 2 years, whatever. But, you know, just that stereotype of guys being in college for a lot longer, the teams hanging around. It's like Hurley, again, is still able to bring in the right freshmen. And like, his recruiting classes never get, again, if we're looking at Duke as well too, like, they never get the hype of some of those classes, but he still has managed to bring in the right guys. Like, we've said it multiple times because, again, Castle is, you know, current beloved Spur, but I mean, it's very clear now over the last couple. I mean, and, you know, again, he got them the national title, so he didn't need to be good in the NBA to prove that he was a great prospect. But it's like, okay, I didn't necessarily see that being hyped up, like, you know, ooh, Castle going to UConn, like a transcendent sort of, you know, recruiting situation. I guess he could have still been a top 10. I just don't even know where he was ranked. He obviously wouldn't have been lower than a 4-star, but was he definitely a 5-star? I guess, like, okay, top 15. We got Knuppel over Castle. Are we looking at the right class? We might be looking at the wrong class. Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey. Okay, we got to go back to 2023. I was like, he's outside of the top 15? There's no way. Okay, we got, was the Ron Holland class? Wagner, Buzelis, Walter. Okay, Castle. So, yeah, number 9. You know, again, top 10. Definitely highly ranked for sure. And I guess Kentucky that year was the class that was getting a lot of the notoriety. And you did have the pros, still the end of the G League Ignite run as well too. So if we're just talking about teams getting stacked talent, like, you know, the G League Ignite got 2 of the top 10 guys in Buzelis and Holland. So it's like, okay, that becomes one of the more stacked 5-star teams as well. And did Baylor just make a run at the national title, or I guess maybe UConn. I guess I don't remember. It was UConn the year before them or Baylor. We have to go back and check the years there. Ayo Mara, shout out. McCain, 14 to Duke that year. Holloway to Auburn. Stojakovic to Stanford. Initially, he recruited to Stanford, but didn't he end up at Texas? Ayo, Stojakovic has been around. We always find he's at a different school every time we see him. It is what it is. I guess, did he even ever go? Let's see if we can get a timeline here. Again, shout out, again, the run, finding his way to Illinois. Clearly the team and the infrastructure there works really well with his style of play, for sure. Can we get a timeline here? Here we go, timeline. Let's see what we got. Okay, so enrolls at Cal. I guess maybe I just saw maybe he was just like on a recruiting visit. I thought I saw a picture of him in like a Longhorn jersey. But I guess here, can we see all 34 entries? Stojakovic almost going to Texas. I guess Virginia. Okay, there's a Texas offer in there. Florida, UConn. Speaking of, so if Hurley was, recruiting him, then it was definitely the right guy. Does that need to be the new offer? Indiana, I guess in 2022, it wouldn't have been Signetti and it wouldn't have been, football as well. But maybe Signetti gives him a little bit of advice. Maybe if he sees a basketball guy, he's like, hey, have you ever looked at like checking out this 4-star, 3-star recruit? Like, I think he might be kind of interesting, but yeah, I don't think there was any input there for that. But 2 visits to UCLA, I guess, and then obviously, so Stanford, enrolled at Stanford in June 30th, 2023, and then entered the transfer portal March 18th, 2024, transferred to Cal April 27th. And then the next year transferred to Illinois. So I guess, yeah, he, shout out, started at Stanford there. But, yeah, Stojakovic. And, I see now as well, too, why sometimes some of these GMs can kind of fall for, not even just in the NBA, but even in the NFL, fall for scouting these championship games in this way. Because we haven't necessarily locked in. If we had to have the draft right after March Madness, we would definitely be more prepared if they move the timeline up. But, you obviously get that run after the season. It's like, yeah, we'll just do the YouTube prep. That's the YouTube prep season between March Madness end and draft time. But regardless, post or pre us doing YouTube, the YouTube, pre-draft work, and really knowing the board, obviously we would be basically drafting off of what we saw from the tournament, but the Spurs kind of being obviously a little bit lower this year than we have in the past. Some of the guys from the tournament are going to be interesting names, and I don't know, we continue to track where Stojakovic is at in these lists here. I think he's a little bit lower. Is he on the board? Hey, he's got to be on the board somewhere. Luxembourg continues to be, of course, a lottery pick. The Spurs, the Hawks might not necessarily, they might have played us out of Luxembourg. It is what it is. But maybe Stojakovic, if he enters the draft, is a possibility. I guess Caravan right now has been the mock. And Terrace Reed. Oh, and Ejiofor. Hey, is Tankathon listening? Updated 8 hours ago. We were talking about that the last live stream. Shout out Tankathon if you're listening. Call in and tell us where Stojakovic is at on the rankings. Do we need to go to the big board here? How many are on the big board? Let's go by school and see if he's got anybody from Illinois in the board here. Oh, yeah, here we go. 71. Oh, Chad, are we going to get burned by, like, the combine testing numbers? I guess the assisting is a little bit lower, but I don't know if he... the Illinois, their offensive, their whole offense, like, the thing is offense, right? And kind of when they're at their best, it's the ball movement as well, too. Plus, like, I get that Keaton Wagler is a freshman, for sure, and Stojakovic a junior. Like, I guess that timeline stuff is going to matter. But I guess, Stojakovic a little bit more build, if you would say. Pause. 6'7", but 215. Wagler 6'6", 185. I don't know, really a little bit of a difference there. But still, I guess just... And that's what I'm saying. When you just get into scouting the tournament, like, just watching it, it doesn't necessarily seem like... Wagler is 70 spots better than Stojakovic. Wagler does, you can see the perimeter game and the off the dribble ability from 3. He was showcasing it a little bit, and you can see the playmaking potential is higher there in the projected assist number. But again, Stojakovic, and it's all about where you draft the guys. And again, if you're drafting Wagler to be the lead playmaker on a team versus, like we're saying, if Stojakovic goes to the Spurs and it's like, well, he's a second round pick that's going to be, respectfully like a fun bench piece, but it's like, oh, this is like a real legitimate piece. And we were saying as well too, going back to us with Ejiofor, potentially being a Spurs guy, we were talking about who is going to play the 4 for San Antonio long term next to Wemby, because again, the rest of the roster is obviously set: Wemby, Castle, Harper, and Fox. Because Fox, we can have a 4 to 5 year window with Fox here. Like, say what you will about the trade market. I guess we'll see. Fox for Giannis in the offseason, is it going to be a question? Will Giannis be the 4 next to Wemby for the next couple of years? I don't know. Will Milwaukee take De'Aaron Fox for Giannis? IT, cut it out. But what are we saying? At least between those 3 guys, and like we're saying, obviously Wemby, you got most of the lineup set there for the next couple of years. But I was watching Arizona the other night and watching Koa Pete. And Koa Pete's been mocked to the Spurs in the past, and I was like, oh, an Arizona kind of athletic stretch 4, like that'd be nice in San Antonio. And then I was like, wait a second, we have Carter. I think Carter Bryant can actually be the 4 in San Antonio long term. Like, he's actually like legitimately good. Like, I know that again, there's so much focus on some, and check the tapes here. So much focus on Castle and Wemby. I mean, it is what it is. We love Castle and Wemby. Shout out, they brought the Spurs. They brought a lot of hype back to San Antonio. So what can you blame us? But again, just in terms of roster building, like, you can't forget about Carter Bryant. So it's not like we're desperate to draft. Just in theory, we're not desperate to draft anybody. We're literally not desperate to draft anything. And again, you could just say, well, between having the versatility of some of the guys, well, too, they cover up a lot of the skill set. But again, like, literally, like, Carter Bryant, I think, can be the 4 next to Wemby long term. And we can be drafting for versatility and different looks, and even just, literally drafting for bench. But, I guess there is that long term, maybe this guy has to replenish that guy in the contract situation. But again, we can, it's not like we can avoid a guard or avoid a playmaker because we have too many, or we need to focus on front court type of guys. I guess maybe again, the Johnson, Vassell wing minutes, like, those type of contracts, and figuring that out for the next 4 to 5 years would be stuff to draft going forward. Would Stojakovic, immediately replace like Keldon Johnson's role? Again, it'd be a little bit different, but that difference can be again, obviously a good thing, and the impact can still be there. Like I'm saying, we believe in his offensive game, and I think his 3-point number has been a little bit lower on the season as well too, but he was good in the tournament here over the last couple. If we check it out, I guess he didn't take any versus Iowa, so that's good. He's kept it clean. Pause. 7 for 9, 5 for 8, 7 for 12 in the last 3. Again, that type of efficiency. Like, and to be honest, I tread lightly as I say this. I don't, again, we started off by saying Charlotte can win the East. So, that's obviously not what we said. Check the tapes, and maybe it is what we said, but they're only down 12 now to Boston. Make it 15. They just Gonzalez just hit a corner 3. We spoke too soon. But again, we said Boston was the team that was going to win the East, not that Charlotte was going to, win against Boston the second series. But I guess the next hot take for 2026, 2027, 3-point shooting's not that important. But I think you can be smart, obviously, with how you build your team. I still would put it, pretty high up on the priority list just in general. Like, let's start thinking like, you want guys to be able to space the floor, play defense, like, again, some of the basic skill sets. But I think maybe just offensive creativity, offensive creation can sort of be a thing. And sometimes with 3-point shooting, it can kind of make up for a lack of your ability to, again, I wouldn't say your lack of ability to create offense, but maybe if your handle and your, dribble drive game, your ability to pass out of that, some of that stuff is not always, comparable to other players. If you can get quick looks from 3, obviously, again, you can create offense an easier way, maybe based off of somebody else's offensive creation. But again, a guy like I'm saying, Stojakovic can cut, he can play in movement. I think he does have, he's a Stojakovic. He should be able, I guess we're literally quoting Jalen Rose now. Not all the way, but, obviously Jalen Rose with the quote, he's a Stojakovic, so he knows how to shoot it. But, the basketball is what we're talking about. But again, obviously we believe in his game. But the best players, again, it's not necessarily a hot take, but the best players from the final. I think you can check the tape from us last year talking, Walter Clayton up in the draft, and he has been, productive. And I think Walter Clayton's a good NBA player, right? Am I wrong? Do we need to check the tapes there? Again, he's gonna, be third team All NBA, but that was never the point. Was never does Walter Clayton need to be the sixth pick in the draft? With all due respect, it was just like, maybe this guy needs to, like where's the cutoff? Is it, at some points like in the first round, we just need to take guys that we've seen produce at like a really, really high level. But I think it is a little bit different this year again with, like I'm saying, maybe put a little bit of respect on Stojakovic's name, but even Wagler as well too, obviously super impressive with his run, but Luxembourg with Michigan and, Boozer obviously with Duke, going in the number one conversation this year. But then, the Arizona guys as well too, between Burrios and Koa Pete, I mean, have been super, super impressive. And obviously we were impressed by Alabama guard Phelan versus Michigan, the way he was able to have some great offensive moments in that game as well too. I mean, Dembasta, obviously was pretty productive in his tournament game, even though the team was not able to continue to advance in that one. And I mean, even, are we saying his name right? Merkovich? Hey, yo. Even Merkovich for Illinois, I guess they don't have him listed this year. He's a freshman, but 6'9", and he, 250 seems like he can space the floor. I guess again, we'll have to go, is he like going to switch out and play defense in 2026? But yeah, I mean, he's an efficient offensive player. I don't know. Do we just throw out Steve Novak? I think Russillo might get mad and call in if we start bringing up Steve Novak. But what are you saying? Yeah, I think, again, there are some other, there's a completeness to this Illinois team where they're all going to sort of, in a sense, make each other, look better again. But maybe this is the Villanova team of the year. Again, I guess we hate to say that because also going back to 2018, Villanova cooked. Did Michigan make the Final Four the next year? Am I just totally erasing the next year from my mind because I'm scarred? But I want to say that for some reason, I want to associate that year with 2017, the year that, and again, shout out, of course, DiVincenzo is a guy that we were just like, this is a guy that we love rooting for all year. And then we end up in the championship game. So that is what's going to happen because we've been talking about Stojakovic all year. He's going to just toast us in the championship game. Oh, Chad. I didn't even think about that until right now. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to continue the legacy. We've said it before. Dylan Brooks, Johnny Juzang. Who did we just say? I forget. Oh, Dante DiVincenzo. It's literally every guy. Every guy we like rooting for in college basketball. Somehow, the only way we could have faced him as well, too, is in the national championship game. And somehow, I guess, are we fans of Koa Pete? We need to be less fans of Koa Pete to make sure that Michigan wins. I don't know, but I guess what are we looking for here? The last time that we went to the Final Four, was that the time we got cooked by Villanova? Oh man, it's still painful to think about it. I remember it like it was, I guess, 17-18 season, I guess. So yeah, it would have been physically in the year 2018, but the season start 2017. I guess, again, it just depends on really how you want to label it. But I remember that night our cousin wanted to have us over to watch a scary movie, and I literally forget what the scary movie was because I just watched the national title game in their kitchen on the phone, and I just, it was DiVincenzo was more terrifying than the scary movie that night. It is what it is. But I just remember being like, oh, this is terrible. And at least there was like I guess I'll just go turn this off and hang out with the family. It is what it is. But we've been obviously successful up until then, just haven't quite been able to push that far into the tournament. I mean, Juwan Howard was a 1 seed. Like, that's not nothing as well too. Some of those recruiting classes were good. Just unfortunately not quite able to maintain the success year to year there. Taking over for Beeline. And then he left the year after, lost the regional semi. So that would have been Elite 8. The next year was this Texas Tech. Oh, chat. Tough. Who was on this team? Oh, Culver? Yeah, I guess that wasn't as I wouldn't classify that as one of the, one of those, shout out to Jarrett Culver. I did like Jarrett Culver's game. It just wasn't necessarily like first team all favorite player is what I'm saying. You know, again, that's just personal opinion. That's all. Jarrett Culver, I'm sure, has a great cult following for fan bases. But yeah, this is one of the years, chat. Oh, it's painful to think about Johnny Juzang 28. He was cooking that night as well too. 11 for 19. It's like, okay, well, you knew he was good. He proved it against your favorite team. It is what it is. And, you know, still a beloved team. That Gonzaga game that they had, that UCLA Gonzaga game, was a classic. There was another one as well too. This was one of the great didn't win the national title games that they played. And, you know, I think this Michigan Arizona has a potential to be one of the great non-national title games in the tournament, if we can say that as well too. And just, I think the hype going into it, I mean, it feels like these, and, you know, Duke losing early as well too. You do have to, it's not like Duke was on the tier with those guys in the conversation all year. It's not fair to necessarily be like, well, Arizona and Michigan were in a tier of their own, but again, they were also Duke was being lifted up by Cam Boozer in a way that maybe Michigan, but, you know, Duke also did win against Michigan. So it's, again, they were literally in, you know, Elite Eight loss against UConn. You know, again, basically in that top tier with those teams. But the argument that the Michigan and Arizona are the top two teams in the nation is, you know, pretty convincing from what we've seen in the regular season, in the way that those offenses have been able to perform and put up the high numbers in the tournament as well too. But of course, you know, the Lonzo Ball, De'Aaron Fox game is a top one to bring up for non-tournament. I mean, that might be the best, at least recently, the best non-Final Four game. Again, or Zion, one of those the Zion Taco Fall might be there as well too. That's just, is that just a memorable matchup, or I mean, it was a great game. So I'm not wrong by saying it's in the great game rankings. Am I wrong by saying it's the second best non-Final Four game recently? We'd have to go like 2015 Kentucky versus Cincinnati, or Kentucky versus Notre Dame a great game that year? You know, maybe just that Kentucky run. But yeah, we had I guess, was that a 2 versus a 3 seed this year? So, you know, again, it's not low, or maybe Kentucky was a 1 seed. Here, let's double check what we have. Oh, them versus number 3 UCLA. Here, let's see what we've got for, oh, number 2. Yeah, number 2 and a number 3 seed. So who was the number 1 seed in this region then? Again, like I said, I guess 8th in the final AP poll, but a number 3 seed, not Villanova. Duke 1-2, Kansas, Louisville 1-2, North Carolina, and I guess North Carolina, were they the ones that ended up winning the national final? So, hey, yo, I mean, you know, what a pretty stacked side of the bracket there, with the Justin Jackson, Isaiah Hicks, Tony Bradley, Theo Pinson. It's funny which teams end up winning the national title. I mean, hey, that team was stacked. It is what it is. Got the win over Oregon. Again, and Oregon, you know, got the win over Michigan that year. Dylan Brooks, Jordan Bell, Chris Boucher balling out. Hey, yo, Chris Boucher in the long sleeve t-shirt. Shout out. But, yeah, and I guess the final, obviously, crazy game versus Gonzaga. But I think, I legitimately think this game is right there. I think the thing that UCLA Kentucky game has versus a lot of these games is just the drafting prospect, you know, the lottery potential of those guys, because we did know going into that both, it was pretty sure that Lonzo was, you know, in the argument for the number 1 pick at that point. Obviously, Markelle Fultz ends up going number 1, Lonzo number 2, and then Tatum ends up going number 3. You know, maybe reshuffle that a little bit, and you know, looking back, it is kind of crazy, you know, how unanimous Tatum is in that class. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else in that class? I mean, who else would even have to be in that class to match Tatum? You know, hey, yo, it is what it is. You know, shout out, obviously, one of the great forwards, but of the era, century, however you want to say it. But remember, guys, either way, back to Lonzo. You know, we knew he was going to be a top 2 pick. We knew that De'Aaron Fox was going to be a top 5 pick. We knew that Malik Monk was going to be a lottery pick. I mean, Bam Adebayo was going to be a lottery pick. And then I guess who else was on the UCLA team at that time as well too. Hey, yo, it is, you know, obviously like we're saying, Lonzo the main guy, but I think they had other. Oh yeah, yo, TJ Leaf. I mean, come on. Oh, but Aaron Holiday, Thomas Welsh, and then Ike. Shout out our guy Ike, forward Ike. But oh, and Bryce Alford, good college player for sure. Isaac Hamilton was a baller as well. St. John Bosco, yeah, number 19 overall prospect in 2013. So he was definitely, again, obviously a very, very capable lineup. But Leaf, I guess shout out did get the first round grade. I don't know if we would have necessarily have had him as high on our board. So is kind of, it does obviously make sense looking back. Again, just between De'Aaron Fox and Bam Adebayo alone, like those two guys, or again the NBA stuff is better there. But even Malik Monk as well too. Isaiah Briscoe, Wenyen Gabriel, Micah Mulder, and Isaiah Humphrey. I mean, Wenyen Gabriel has definitely like been around for a while. I guess Isaiah Briscoe, probably like G League legend in his own right as well. But Brad Calipari off the bench, shout out. I mean, Coach Cal coaching with some extra life when his son's on the team. But the LeBron Bronny of the college basketball era, I guess, John and Brad Calipari. But I think again we knew that there was basically 4 lottery picks in that game. So I guess what is the most lottery picks in a game? So this is pretty close. Like again, you could basically have 3 in this if Lendenborg ends up going in the lottery. And with the way he's playing right now, it's difficult for him to. It's almost going to be impossible for him not to be picked in the lottery. I mean, again, if there's any way he falls to San Antonio at 19, I mean, lock that in. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Maybe Nwangba, just because of some. I guess do we just like supersize pause the front court with Nwangba and Wemby, and then there's like that backup potential as well too. But I mean, Luxembourg can be a creator 4 wing. I mean, he can replace De'Aaron Fox long term. He can be the 4 long term. He can do a lot of things in that lineup. Pause. But I think that he's basically a lottery pick. And again, both of the Arizona guys, maybe 2-1 of the lottery picks is a little discouraging. But Koa Pete and Braden Burries are gonna both be. Like I guess Koa Pete maybe not quite top 20. Like I'm going 22 right now to Detroit. But again, I think the national title run will definitely matter. And come on, bring Thomas Haw back up. What are you gonna take Thomas Haw over Koa Pete? Like what are we doing here? What's Koa Pete's 3-point percentage? Koa Pete, I guess 31%. This is the offensive lineman. His brother's an offensive lineman, so I don't know if that makes you more encouraged or less encouraged that he can make 3-pointers. What do we got here for Thomas Hall? Like 55% from 3. Oh, 32. I mean, come on. What are we doing? Oh, yeah. Either way, shout out again. We like successful championship runs, but in Florida had one last year, and Thomas Hall was a big part of it, so we can't necessarily discredit that as well too. Mullins looking like maybe I don't know if he bumps himself up a couple draft spots, and some of these international guys will too. Kareem Lopez will have to dig up the YouTube highlights for him. We can't forget about Caleb Wilson as well too. He was definitely of these guys. And again, all these guys were guys that like showed out in the tournament. We're getting there. Don't worry. I see a name. We'll get there. But Caleb Wilson was maybe Fleming's, again, Houston a little early, but I think Fleming's generally played like okay. But again, Wilson obviously was hurt. But Ahmet, it was a little tough game for at least against Michigan. Against Ahmet. I think overall in the tournament he did showcase some skills, and he is going to be a really difficult. I can already tell a really difficult player to figure out where to try to rank him in this class, because you already see the size. Pause, like 6'10". Obviously, that ability to get the open look jumper over the defender. He's going to have that natural advantage there, but he does display a really good dribble skill set already. But like he's a really good ball handler already, and he does have, because of that, the ability to get into some really, really difficult looks. And he's got a smooth jumper. It's like the skills are there. That's the hardest guy to evaluate. The hardest guy to evaluate in the pause. The most difficult guy to evaluate in the class is the guy who has all of the skill sets, but again, maybe just doesn't always showcase them throughout the course of the game as consistently as you would like for, again, maybe for where those skill sets are at. Like his size and shot making and ball handling ability, like he could easily be the 5th best player in this class. But if you watch the game today against Michigan, he was pretty absent for a long time. Some of the big games against some of the big teams, it's been a little bit of like, has he been that takeover go-to guy? Again, Jacoby Gillespie. Hey, Dizzy Gillespie was their lead scorer this year as well. And, great player. Shout out. But in terms of the draft stuff, again, Amnet has been, I think we keep calling him a Met. Hey, Amnet. We'll get it right. Amit? Nate Amit is, again, definitely getting the higher praise there. But, I mean, him versus Burius, again, it's the 6'10", 6'4" argument is convincing. Make no mistake, I'm susceptible to fall for it, especially with the Wembanyama factor. It's like, well, you got to keep up. You can't have guys that are not 6 half below or whatever. Hey, yo. But, and I guess maybe also long term, the next couple of years, like we're saying, maybe McKinney ends up being a lottery pick if he times the NBA entrance, right? I guess they got Morez Johnson already at 27 for this class as well too. So again, there is just a ton of first round picks in this upcoming matchup between the two teams. And I guess like we're saying, UConn and Illinois are very stacked college teams, definitely very underrated. Probably all going to be guys that, like we're saying, get drafted in the second round, and then the redraft 10 years later is like all those guys that were good in college are going to get drafted up in like we're saying, that redraft version in that first round stat. Like I guess they'll just be top 30 players in the class is basically what we're trying to say. But like Bennett Sturritz, I guess, for Iowa. I don't know. Maybe that's one where like I don't know. We'll have to watch the YouTube tape. I mean, after watching the shot making in this tournament, it'd be difficult to doubt his abilities. But I guess you're drafting. There's nothing wrong with drafting Peyton Pritchard, right? Peyton Pritchard just put up 36 the other night. But is there something to drafting your third guard? I guess it's Oklahoma City, so we maybe need to pay attention to that. Of course, Oklahoma City drafting for them, it'd be like their 5th guard. So maybe Bennett Sturtz, I'm sure, could be a great 5th guard in the NBA. But again, a guy like Koa Pete, could he be a Final 5 rotation guy, the best version of him? That potential is still definitely there. But again, there's a world where Bennett Sturtz as a Peyton Pritchard type is just a more consistent, impactful player than like Nate Amet over, again, just that was a mic unplugged take. Hey, yo, it is what it is. We censored ourselves. So I guess maybe Amet will just be better than Sturtz in that case. We kind of figured out our draft board there. But yeah, again, it's definitely going to be difficult to not convince us that Luxembourg and Stojakovic and the Arizona guys are going to be, non-impactful players here in the NBA. But, again, like a Cuff as well, too. And then Philon is definitely going to be in the argument there. Haynes Steinbach from Washington, shout out. Maybe his lack of the Washington being in the Final Four, at least like we're saying for our personal board, how's that going to affect him there? I guess now we're in the 20s, but, Jaden Quintance, Christian Anderson, Chris Sinek Jr. from Houston there as well, too. But, yeah, shout out. Again, Lendenborg is good. Lendenborg might have a case to be number 5, honestly. Hey, I know that's going to be, like, you're never going to take the senior, the 23-year-old senior over all the freshmen. Caleb Wilson, Fleming's a Cuff. Maybe the creator guards, like we're saying, would be difficult, but like Lendenborg versus a Met, again, for this type of matchup in college, Lendenborg has got that, what you say, like, sometimes the matchup of like grown men versus the freshmen, like definitely a little bit of that with Amnet today, for sure, versus the Michigan lineup, even though, again, Michigan does have some younger players in there as well, too. We're just, team's a terrifying team. It is what it is. But, so is Arizona as well, too. But this is then, it's a great matchup when both teams are scared of each other. I think both teams are scared of each other because, like I'm saying, I'm sitting here saying, I don't know if I want to play Arizona with the way they've been looking. And we've looked amazing. And Charles Barkley is, obviously only rooting for Arizona. He went to Auburn, but he apparently is rooting for Arizona for this tournament. I guess we have to check. Maybe he picked him for his bracket. But he's like, as a guy rooting for Arizona for this tournament, I don't want to play Michigan. So again, both fan bases have that hesitancy of the matchup, but you don't it's going to be high powered. Hopefully, both teams do show up to play, and it is we do want an iconic game. I guess obviously, again, like Michigan having a great performance and it not being a great game would be, it being a dominant Michigan game would be awesome, but obviously, like we're saying, it's just both great teams, so I don't think that is necessarily going to be the case, and I don't think either team has had a game like that this year where they have, majorly underperformed in that way. Again, Michigan did drop a couple. We'll look at them first, but the first loss of the season, I remember, was kind of close, and then we obviously lost to Purdue at the end of the Big Ten tournament, so that's going to go on the record, and I'm forgetting. And then Duke was the other loss, and that was a close game. So here, let's see what that. Yeah, so I guess look at the little graph here. I guess pause. Each loss is getting progressively worse. Oh, so that is going to set up ourselves for just getting, pummeled in the championship game. It is what it is. But lost to Wisconsin by 3 points, lost to Duke by 5 points, and then lost to Purdue by 8 points. So pretty close games all year. And, of course, a lot of impressive wins as well, too, by 30-40. And then for Arizona, same situation, 36-2, and their 2 losses have been to, let's see here, hopefully an equal team, Kansas. Okay, is Kansas equal to Wisconsin? They do have Darren Peterson. They lost to Kansas by 4, and then they lost to Texas Tech. Okay, so there we go. That's the game, I guess. That's their Wisconsin is the Texas Tech matchup. Maybe Texas Tech a little bit better than Wisconsin, but I think it's pretty close. Like we said, Christian Anderson getting some first-round buzz here. What do we got for him in this game? 6 for 18. Oh, I guess JT Toppin, the All-American, 31 in this game. So he definitely showed up. I guess you get an All-American, single-handedly with the win there and in overtime. Definitely, the battle there for sure. But, yeah, I guess that, again, makes me think that is going to be a close game for both of these teams. But I guess we were saying that, yes, Lendenborg is, obviously we're going to be biased toward him, but yes, he is really showcasing a great skill set. And again, there is an unselfishness with him where you feel like he can be implemented into an NBA team in a lot of different ways. I guess, like we're saying, you wouldn't necessarily draft Lendenborg to be the face of the franchise. With all due respect, I think that is a fair thing to fairly look at if you are evaluating, where you're drafting at in an NBA team. But once you get past those top tier guys, even the Grizzlies at 8, I don't know, the Bucks at 9, I guess it starts to go to, again, where you're going to be as a franchise. Like, they might be a little bit more reset. The Bulls at 10, definitely seem like a Luxembourg team, a Lendenborg team for sure. Though Miami definitely does as well. Him and Bam and Norm Powell, that could be interesting. But him and Charlotte, maybe this is full circle. Our guy goes to Charlotte and helps out Knuppel and Lendenborg. That could be something. That could be something long term. That's a core I'm buying stock in right there, Chad. I tell you what, Knuppel and Yaxel Lendenborg. That is a top-notch duo for sure. And then Stojakovic in the round. But yeah, I mean, this is our ideal draft for the Spurs now, is just Final Four guys. It's somehow Lendenborg makes it to 20, or the Hawks somehow just drop a bunch of games, and then we get in that range to be able to draft him. And then, like we're saying, maybe the Stojakovic is just real. It is what it is. But the 3 second-round picks, I mean, come on. Stojakovic has got to be one of them. I mean, the Spurs' history of drafting international prospects, I don't know, does that apply here? But, I mean, if it were, again, our guy Dash Daniels, though Terrace Reed, beloved as well too, but that's the secret to maybe avoiding the center pick here. Like we're saying, if like Nwamba was on the board, would we rather have Nwamba in the first or Terrace Reed in the later rounds? And we are maybe, are we going to move past do we need developmental guys? Like if they're a little better right away, that's probably not a bad thing if they're ready to step up and help out in a playoff series. So yeah, Lendenborg, Stojakovic, and Terrace Reed. as a 3 of the 4 best players on a Final Four team. I think that'd be a great draft, honestly. And then wait, do we have a third first round? Oh, we do. Oh, so we could take Caravan as well, like they're saying here. But I don't know. We could just take Terrace Reed, 35. Why not? Oh, Elijah Arenas, though. Agent 1? I don't know what the correct term is here. Elijah Arenas, I guess, definitely going to the draft? Has he declared? I mean, I'm sure that, is he being told to stay? I guess the NIL, though, it is what it is. We'll have to just, I guess, get an update there and see what happens. So that is, we are always going to gravitate if there is NBA player. I guess that's what Stojakovic. So we could have Stojakovic and Gilbert. See, we just want Stojakovic just getting Gilbert. The 2000s team, if we can. We just want to, relive the guys that we were, I guess, cheering for growing up. It is what it is. So I guess if we had Gilbert Arenas and Page on the Spurs, not to say that we would have rather have had that than the lineup that we had. Make no mistake, that is not true. Obviously, we would not replace the Spurs lineup for anything. But I'm just saying that's a good team if those guys were together. Gilbert Arenas, Peja Stojakovic. Who else do we have? I guess, I'm sure there's other legacy guys as well, too. Just not as familiar. Oh, I guess, Koa. And then Cam Boozer as well. So Carlos Boozer. What do we say? Carlos Boozer. Yeah, we can't even remember all these guys. Carlos Boozer, Gilbert Arenas, and Peja Stojakovic as a 3-person team. Oh, and then I think I did see something that Bryce James is preparing for the draft as well, too. So I guess that is obviously LeBron. If we were building this hypothetical team, now all of a sudden it's a real team. Hey, yo. I guess the Carlos Boozer, Stojakovic, and Gilbert Arenas, that's kind of like the Hornets right now. A little bit, where it's like all those guys could be really, really great on title teams. Is it quite enough together? Like, could Gilbert Arenas have been a top 3 guy in a title team? Absolutely. Could Peja Stojakovic have been? Yeah, for sure. Could Carlos Boozer have been? Yeah. I mean, you get Carlos Boozer in the right lineup. You tell me that Carlos Boozer is not. I was looking through, and we just said this the other day as well, that watching all these Boozer twins. Hey, yo, we're like, we need to go back and watch some Carlos Boozer highlights. Shout out again. It's a great era as well too. It's pretty recent, but it's a great era for us. But I was going back and looking at some of those playoff numbers for Carlos Boozer, and I was like, man, this guy was cooking in the playoffs. He had a playoff series where he was going toe-to-toe with Tracy McGrady. I think did he get playoff series wins against Tracy McGrady and Carmelo as well, too? And, Cayenne. That's another one. I don't know if he's going to be in the draft this year. But, hey, yo, now that's a crazy lineup now all of a sudden. LeBron, Melo, Peja, Gilbert Arenas, Carlos Boozer. That lineup's actually too good. We need to find somebody else that's not LeBron to make this a fun hypothetical lineup, because like every question we ask with the hypothetical lineup with LeBron, it's like, yes, can the team win that? Yes. Can the team beat the? Yes. Can the team win over? Yes. So yes, they have LeBron, they can do anything. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But I guess back to Carlos Boozer. If you have Carlos Boozer, you can do a lot of things. Hey, yo, but it's just not not quite like having LeBron. But before losing in the Western Conference Finals of the Spurs, they did get that, like we're saying, 7-game series win over the Rockets in round 1. Again, I don't know every storyline going into this series. If this was I'm not saying it was a major upset or anything like that. I'm just saying that, I would not have necessarily have said Carlos Boozer is a better player than Tracy McGrady, but Carlos Boozer did win a playoff series over Tracy McGrady, is all I'm saying. 27-year-old Tracy McGrady, that's prime Tracy McGrady right there. What were his numbers in this series? 25 a game, 39% from the field. But Carlos Boozer is, let's see what we got here. 25 a game as well, too, for Carlos Boozer. Darren Williams, 16 a game. But I think that, and maybe because of the draft stuff as well, I think some of these teams, just some of the basic NBA fan memory of this team is, do you say it was Darren Williams' team? or it gets a little defined as like the Darren Williams run in Utah. And like it's like I kind of think it is the Carlos Boozer team. Just looking back at some of these playoff stats, and at least who was, putting up the points as well too. 40 in one of those playoff games. Like, hey, he's cooking here. So that first playoff run, what do we have? Like 17 playoff games played, and then was it maybe like 10 the next year after that? Oh, here we go. Now it's really, and then 12. And then 10, and then 16 in Chicago, and 12 in Chicago. So 4 or 5 years there where, multiple rounds, they have advanced into the playoffs. 23 a game, 16 a game, 20 a game, 19 a game as well. So, the 23 a game, definitely the height of the Carlos Boozer run. But shout out, like we said before, maybe it is actually more likely that Carlos Boozer should have gotten 84 before Bam Adebayo. I don't know. I don't understand it. It's just, like I said, it's just one of those days. If you're dealing with it, thank you. It is, shout out. We really, really, really appreciate it. We always appreciate it. But if you're sticking up with us today, pause. Whoa. Hey, pause. But again, we appreciate you dealing with the technical difficulties. This is one of those moments. This is one of those moments where it's like we promised duct tape in the past. We're gonna duct tape in the future. This is definitely going to be a go back. We're making some trades. We're bringing in some roster upgrades. We've got to bring in some reinforcements. So we will, review the setup in the time between the next live stream. We are live Tuesday night. So, the schedule here is Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. Don't forget about that. Hopefully, like I said, if you tune in Tuesday, tune in Friday, we're going to be at a much more, less technical difficulty style pace. And it really, it's just a weak connection. It is what it is. But regardless, if it is that, it's got to be reinforced. We know that. And if you got a weakness on the roster, maybe you have a strength or something, maybe you have the ability. It's like, we could, obviously the perfect stillness, I'm sure there are ways to execute around it. That yes, we could obviously have a technical difficulty free version, and it could work. But also, if there's the ability to reinforce and upgrade, then you can, you should probably do that as well too. Ayo. So for us, like we're saying, that's Yaxel Lendenborg to the Spurs at the end of the day is the move that would be that. But I guess we do have Thunder versus the Knicks in the background. We should get that fired up and see what we have got going on here. 07-08, was this this was the Rockets again. So they got fortunate that, they were playing Tracy McGrady. And then, Kobe, I guess, in 6 games that year. What are you going to do? Carlos Boozer versus Kobe. No argument there. And then Kobe again in 08-09. I guess is that the back-to-back run for the Lakers? Oh, 3 years in a row they lost to the Lakers. I guess we were looking at the Carlos Boozer wins. We weren't looking at the losses. So maybe Kobe got lucky he was playing Carlos Boozer. I'm not sure. But again, I guess on the other hand, Carlos Boozer was just clearing the Western Conference for Kobe every year. He just eliminates Melo, eliminates Tracy McGrady, all these great guards that he would have had to play against. It doesn't matter. And Peacock is now, I know they have been, but the sports is crazy. They have baseball as well too. Sunday Night Baseball. What do we've got? Cleveland versus Seattle, and then a little Sunday Night Basketball. But there's gonna be like there's 3 Sunday Night Basketball games tonight, so 2 at the same time here in a little bit, and then we get the third in the late window and a Sunday Night Baseball game. And they've had the college sports over the course of the season, the Olympics. Hey, what a crazy shout out to Comcast. It is what it is. And then I guess Utah for some reason making their logo uglier by going with the green and the yellow colorways back when, from 10-11. Trade all their guys. Trade Darren Williams. Trade Carlos Boozer. Reset the colorways. Bring in Gordon Hayward. That really is a new era, Chad. That really is a new era. The green and yellow version of the Jazz versus the purple and blue. I mean, again, maybe I'm just a child of the 2000s. You know, what do you want me to do? We like we listen to the Kendrick Drake and J. Cole for rap, and we get nostalgic for powder blue Jazz jerseys. It is what it is. But, you know, I guess, you know, you can't choose when you hit the timeline. But we do appreciate the pop culture that was around when we were. So, you know, or, you know, at that age anyways. So, you know, Carlos Boozer, and I guess to go back to what we were saying about watching games, we have followed through. There is a playlist on YouTube. Heads up to anybody out there. There is a playlist. It's called the Rem and Sam Pod NBA videos. You can watch that. But there is another one that is Darren Williams. It's just full Darren Williams pods, Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer games from back in that day. So I think it might be like it might be just the whole era, like 2006 to 2011, or you know, like right a little bit after that. But regardless, a good chunk of Carlos Boozer history. To be able to go look and see there. So again, you know, we do like Tracy McGrady, we do like Melo. It's tough to see Carlos Boozer just, you know, be the reason that these guys get eliminated from the playoffs every year, but it goes underrated. And, you know, again, how do you properly recognize this guy in NBA history? Do we say it's a Hall of Fame career? But it's clearly like, you know, Carlos Boozer left his mark, in NBA history. Like, you can't really deny that. You know, if you're twice, obviously all NBA, I guess, just generally, but the MVP voting as well too, getting nods there. You know, you could definitely get on all NBA and not get an MVP vote per se. I think that is probably not a super hot take, but what do we got here? Hall of Fame probability 0.6. Hey, yo. I mean, that's pretty crazy. We could look, I know, like, our guy Drew Holiday has been hovering in the sub 1% ranges for a majority of his career, but that seems like, you know, again, like, not to, well, okay, what do we got here? Jaylen Brown, 0.07. He's a finals MVP winner. Brunson, Edwards, Siakam. Okay, you know, like, those careers are still going. DeAndre Jordan, Sabonis. Okay, Gilbert Arenas, 0.2. So where was he at? 0.6. Okay, Klay Thompson, 0.7. Klay Thompson's not going to make the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Butler is not going to make the Hall of Fame. Hey, yo, again, Shea, 2-time. I assume the second MVP is going to be like, you know, 82% Hall of Fame percentage once it happens. Kawhi Leonard, 0.9. Am I reading this wrong? I mean, you know, we've never, ever defended Kawhi Leonard once on this podcast, but he is 0.7% chance to make the Hall of Fame. Wait a second. Let me look at this right, because once you add too many decimal places into the number, I get confused. So let me just see the simple version of the number just to verify that it is correct. Like, what am I missing about NBA careers? Oh, 97.3. Wait, so what am I looking at here, chat? What am I looking at? What are we scrolling through? Hey, yo, Hall of Fame probability. I guess active. Oh, I guess it's divided. Oh, it's because of the tens, chat. Oh, see, we can't do math. This is where we got confused. Okay. Restart. But it did say that in the simple version that he was 0.7% chance. So this guy down here is BJ Armstrong, has greater than a 0.7% chance. We're looking at like 20% chance for Dan Martin. Bill Walton? Isn't Bill Walton in the Hall of Fame? Hey, yo. Yeah, I was going to say, is 20% chance to make the Hall of Fame? How is that possible? I guess, you know, the cumulative NBA stats could be one thing. But again, I feel like you achieve the Hall of Fame percentage your percentage should up once you get those big accolades like that. Like if you win the MVP of the league or the finals MVP, like that should just shift it in a larger rate. 2%. Hey, yo, 2% chance at the Hall of Fame for Bill Walton. So Bill Walton is 1.3% chance higher to make the Hall of Fame than Carlos Boozer, I guess. Bill Walton's career is like how much more impressive than Carlos Boozer? Hey, wait a second. Okay, so active guys that are Jordan Poole is 6%, 0.04. I guess 0.07 is almost double. So KCP, Carlos Boozer has the same amount of MVP or Hall of Fame as KCP. See, that's a fun one because KCP has won 2 titles. KCP has had some bad air balls in the course of his career, but he also has again, if we're just talking about leaving a stamp on the league, like it's been different than Carlos Boozer, but it still has been there. I would personally be a little bit more okay with inducting Carlos Boozer into the Hall of Fame, but you know, AO again, KCP has 2 titles. Who am I to say no? Who am I to say no? 2 different teams. That is different than just like KCP was a part of this Lakers run that ripped off 4 finals and he's just like there, you know, hanging out. But yeah, 0.1% chance for KCP to make the Hall of Fame. So I guess less than our guy Carlos Boozer as well too. So Klay Thompson's at 73%. Jaylen Brown is at, so is Jaylen Brown at 7.5% or 75%? He might be at 7.5, honestly. Let's take a look here and see. Hey, yo, another, this is the ultimate display of Rem and Sam can't do math. Rem and Sam keep the microphone plugged in. Hey, yo. I guess let's not drag Sam into this. Hey, yo. You know, it's definitely, you know, we can check the tape and see who it is. But let's see here. Okay, we got it now. 7.5% chance for Jaylen Brown. I mean, what am I missing? Again, you know, 20 points a game for his career. Finals MVP. How many All-NBAs has he made? Wait, let's go back here. He'll make one this year, though. So he'll be, will this be, oh, his second All-NBA? We did say, like, a general rule of thumb is 5. But again, a Finals MVP equals that. So an All-NBA is like, you didn't win an MVP or do any, you know, hypothetically, didn't do anything in the playoffs. You could still make 5 All-NBAs and have a great case for the Hall of Fame. But again, Jaylen Brown has made a couple of All-NBAs, been in that argument year over year, and had the playoff moments to balance that out as well, too, to not need those just, you know, quote-unquote random All-NBAs. Again, there's no random All-NBAs, but you get what we are saying there. So, point being, Carlos Boozer, shout out, is a baller. And, you know, definitely need to remember. Do we look up Peja next? The draft class dads. Hey, yo. You know, it is definitely, like we're saying, a fun team from back in the day. And it is, you know, there is something as well, too, to like, it's not always, again, a 1-for-1, obviously the kid performance for the dad. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, get too hot takey the other way and, you know, talk about guys living up or whatever. But again, like, Peja was obviously a great player. Or, you know, Carlos Boozer, like we're saying, obviously a great player, All-NBA competitor year after year. But could Cam Boozer be like the MVP of the league? I don't know if he is quite looking, I guess I can't say he's not going to not be the MVP of the league. But that might be a little bit of a high potential at this point. But let's see. I guess we didn't check the ringer for Peja's kid. Let's see if they have the Andrej Stojakovic. We gotta find who's got Andrej Stojakovic the highest on their draft boards, and they get award. They get the Rem and Sam award for, you know, for groupthink. The Rem and Sam groupthink award. Oh, they've only got 14. Hey, yo. I guess get to 15 so we can see where Andrej Stojakovic is at. But they've got Sturritz at 13. So, and then, like we said, Quintance at 10 is a name that I guess was a little lower on the Tankathon. Boozer obviously second behind Peterson at this point. So, wait, let's go NBA. NDA. Whoa, NBA draft. Let's go .net. And see if they have Stojakovic in the top 50. I mean, come on. Like, is there 50 players in college basketball going into the draft better than Andrej Stojakovic? Is there where the Spurs at? Where the Spurs at 44? Or are there 44 players better? So we'll see if the comprehensive rankings load here because it's taking a second. But, 86 days, chat. Right around the corner. Top 100. Oh, what do we want? High school, positional, NCAA, international. I guess top 100. Probably the safe bet. There we go. The Basta number 1. Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, Flemings, a cuff. Number 6, up 8 spots. I mean, that's definitely a great power ranking, like we were saying. And maybe that's the better way we should have phrased it a couple live streams ago. It's like a power ranking more so than the draft board. And maybe we do need to rank those separately just to get, like, a clear conscience about one thing. It's like, okay, this is how you view it in one way, but this is how you should view it in the other way. It's like, your power rankings, is who's been playing really well right now, but also keep in mind some of the other factors for going forward. But then kind of cross-referencing the two, where it's like, well, you do think, a Cuff was like playing like the 5th best player, so maybe you shouldn't have him, 15 on your board or something like that. So yeah, Lenenborg is up to 10 in draft.net. That's starting to seem, that's more appropriate right there. Matt's starting to slide down. Arenas, they have Arenas at 19. Hey, yo. Dash Daniels at 24 from Melbourne. Koa Pete at 27. Where's Thomas Haw? 22. Okay, starting to get a little bit more appropriate there. No Stojakovic, Caravan. Bryson Tiller up to 51. Up 51 spots, I guess. From, top order. Ejiofor 59. Okay, still in the draft. Solo Ball, I guess, now just outside at 63. So I guess also in the 70s. Oh, he's even lower on NBADraft.net. Oh, no. Maybe Tankathon is the highest that he is ranked. It is what it is. 87, minus 28 spots. Apparently, three-point shooting still matters, chat. It still matters. It is what it is. We'll just have to look at the rest of the class. Who else is having a better than 24% season? And then all of those guys will be in contention. Oh, wait, that's like, I think probably almost everybody. But still, it's just he'll get there. He'll get there. It is what it is. Mock, though, they have Mock to 43. So, again, they do agree, like with us, that people will draft him because his dad is Peja Stojakovic. I mean, no disrespecting. I'm not saying this disrespectfully, because I think that their draft ranges will be appropriate for that as well too. But like, I think if Bronny can get drafted at 55, I think Stojakovic can get drafted at 55. That is for sure. Can Stojakovic light up the G League like Bronny can? Oh, chat, we got him. But I think that is also like a, hey, Bronny is good. Like the man, you go watch the man in the G League. Like he does ball out. He does like legitimately create offense for himself there. So let's see what we've got. Can Google AI give us a draft breakdown of what is going to happen? Who will do a write-up? I guess we're going to have to do it ourselves, chat. Hey, yo. It is what it is. NBADraftRoom.net. Let's see what we got here. Nothing draft. Smooth 6'7" wings, who has the making of a future NBA player. Obviously, he comes from great bloodlines. Will get every opportunity to make it at the highest level. He's got the size and great IQ and plenty of athleticism. There we go. A good cutter and mover off the ball. Former soccer player who's at his best going to the basket and using his strength and finishing. A bit of a hitch in his jumper. Struggles to shoot the ball from deep. Will have to make improvements from to his real shot at the next level. And that's for sure. But again, I think he's still like a legitimate player to some degree without that. Obviously, he's a way, way better player with that. But there is still an impact that he can provide. Let's see. Who's this Jalen Harrelson from Notre Dame? They have him as the next guy above him. Rock solid big guard who does a bit of everything on the court. He's a heady player with good fundamentals, a very strong frame, and a high skill level. He is great with the ball in his hands, running the offense, scoring off the dribble, or making plays for his teammates. Has a nice touch around the basket floaters and can shoot outside shot. Doesn't have one elite skill, but does it all on the court. Okay, that is actually a little Stojakovic-y, and maybe he's just better. Okay, see, this is why we got to see. This is exactly why I'm saying that I can see why the GMs fall for the class, but you can't do it. You can't do it because at this time we want the Spurs to take all these guys, but this is why you stay tuned as well, too. Because you never know how the opinions are going to change. Because we will try to, as much as I want to try to even, brainwash myself into try to taking him as high or putting him as high up on the draft list as possible. Like, again, we still want to be right. So, at the end of the day, when we officially sit down to make the list, like we will, actually, I guess take into consideration what's going on here. Oh, chat, we've got Oscar Wembanyama up for 2026. Is that true? Can he get drafted this year? Victor's little brother is an intriguing prospect, but is not at the point. But is at this point. Okay, wait a second. Start take two. Victor's younger brother is an intriguing prospect, but at this point does not project to be in the same stratosphere as his older brother. Oh well, that's not fair. He's a wiry 6'8" athlete who is still very skinny, but has added a lot of weight over the past couple seasons, is probably still growing taller and could end up being a few inches taller. I mean, if Oscar Wembanyama got to 7 foot, would that be crazy? If he was like a half a foot shorter than his younger brother? I don't think that'd be insane. In terms of skill level, he shows flashes of being a big wing with some perimeter skills, but most of his game is still very rough. So like Koulibaly. So like if Koulibaly can go 7, can Wembanyama? See what I'm saying? So we've got I guess Oscar Wembanyama's got to be the other player for our hypothetical team. Carter Knox, is he any relation to Kevin Knox? Maybe. Diabate, Paul Altermaker Bull. Ooh, chat. Do we have a Bull relative in the draft? Let's see. Ooh. I don't want to assume, but let's see what we've got here. Paul Bull. Will that be the right search? Is there a chance? I mean, it could just be a popular family name over there as well too. I don't know. What happened to John Bull? Oh, collapse clutching his chest. John Bull. Hey, yo. Hopefully John Bull is doing okay. But we hate to do it. Everybody probably has done the Google search. Let's see here. Paul Bull. Let's just search. Oh, Bob Bull. Hey, yo. Paul Bull. Bull. And see if there is any relation here. Can we get like a Bull family tree situation? Oh, no. What's this ad that's playing? Let's see. Manute Bull. Kids. Let's see who he's got. Or maybe it's like a cousin. Who knows? It could be a cousin. Could be anything. But what does Bull translate to? It could just translate to like Smith, you know, or Johnson. Ayo, pause. But it could just be like Manute Johnson, Bull Johnson. So this could just be again like Paul Alter Johnson entering the draft. But it could also not be. Let's see. What do we have going on here? Bull, Manute Bull, Chris Bull, Adbook Bull, and Ayuk Bull are the kids. So I guess, you know, Ayo, obviously, you know, more than just Bull, even though he is the one that is maybe the most notable because of some of the basketball stuff. But yeah, it looks like we assume wrong. We assume wrong for our guy Paul Altermaker Bull. So, or Thon Maker, chat. I don't know. Who does a hybrid Bull Thon Maker would be kind of crazy. But I guess both those guys were kind of similar play styles anyways. I guess Bull. No, both of them did have some of the offensive creation and then, you know, the shot blocking mixed in as well too. They've got the Iowa State forward ranked number 7 for, I guess it's just forward rankings. And they've got Stojakovic ranked as the 17th overall forward in the class. Oh man, it is what it is. Wait, let's see where they had him mock to. In this 2026 version, Dembasta, Peterson, Wilson, Boozer number 4 to the Kings. Whoa, Wilson number 3. I almost just scrolled right past that. Does that nullify this board? I don't know. They have Wilson comp to Kevin Garnett and Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Hey, yo. I don't know if those two guys, go together. How tall was Sharif Abdur-Rahim? Maybe I just don't know. Well, you know, very possible. It was before my time, and I can't say I've done the research to, like, you know, look up his height before as well. But let's see what we have got here for the comps. Oh, chat. Ayo. We're dumb. We can't spell. Ayo. The computer, it's lock up, expose us. It's fair. It's fair. We deserve it. Let's see. Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Oh, 6'9". Okay. Okay, I was thinking more shooting guard, small forward, but yeah, I guess for some go back. I guess we'll add Sharif Abdur-Rahim highlights next after Carlos Boozer highlights. After we rip through this Carlos Boozer playlist, because he was, 20 a game, obviously, for his career. So there's some fun games in there. Vanderbilt? What's a good Vanderbilt? Or Vanderbilt. Hey, yo, Vanderbilt. What about Vancouver? Hey, yo. Where he didn't even go to Vanderbilt, right? Where'd he go? Cal? Or no, wait, was, I guess Cal for our guy. But what do we got? Atlanta Hawks 2000, 2001, 2002 for Atlanta. Portland 05, 0405 Portland year might be kind of fun to go back and see what is going on here. Oh, 27 and 55 doesn't mean there's not fun games to watch. Zach Randolph. Okay, you could talk me into some Zach Randolph highlights, that's for sure. Damon Stoudemire, Nick Van Exel, Ruben Patterson. This is definitely have to go get some duct tape right now, honestly. I don't know if we have any in the studio, but let's go to break and see if we can find some. Let's just go to break to cool off. I think it's like 17 times that we've unplugged the microphone. I don't know. It is what it is. We'll be right back. right, we are back, and this NBA on NBC game is actually pretty good. The Thunder versus the Knicks is a 1-point game going into the half at the moment. And, 1 point, teams both basically healthy. So, I know that, like we said in the past, we haven't necessarily have had maybe the equal fear factor for New York that we should, but they have gotten the better of San Antonio, and at least they are proving that, there is that equivalency through the half here with OKC as well too, because Jalen Williams, 13. I guess we got to see Shea 3 for 8 for the game, but Dort 4 for 6. But Jalen Williams getting back, looking like a little bit healthier version of himself. There, you got Anunoby 1 for 6, but Brunson, Bridges doing a bunch of the carrying for the offense here in the first half. But we didn't even make the connection that the NBC halftime crew is the guy, everybody that just got eliminated by Carlos Boozer in the playoffs back in the day, like we were going for. They got Melo and T-Mac both on the halftime show. So I don't know, maybe that's why they haven't had Carlos Boozer on to talk about the success of his kids yet, or they have, and we just missed the interview. Should we see what we have for a final here for Boston versus Charlotte? Fears nobody. They couldn't even get to 100 tonight against Boston. It is what it is. 7 for 19 for LaMelo. 19 points on the game. I guess Knuppel under 20 tonight. 5 for 13. 1 for 6. A rare poor performance, Chad. If Knuppel's off again, it's just that type of night. Team must have been up to something the night before. It is what it is. Brandon Miller 3 for 9, and then Bridges 0 for 1 is the best, literally the best. Oh, Zion James 3 for 6. Shout out. We got to give him some respect. Was kind of the best player tonight for Charlotte. I guess Kobe White was plus 13 when he was in the game. Miles Bridges minus 25. Yikes. Giannis to Charlotte, chat? Hey, yo. Giannis for Miles Bridges, and I guess you're probably going to have to give up one of the 3 we were talking about. But would you give up Diabate and Bridges and Kobe White maybe? I don't know, and some picks? You're starting to get there. It might not be enough compared to what some other people try to put out there. But at least you could call an offer. I think you can see what's going on. And AO, Giannis, Melo, LaMelo, Giannis, LaMelo, Knuppel. I didn't like the way we said that, chat, but we're just trying to emphasize that we know that Melo is Carmelo, but we're just referring to LaMelo as LaMelo because it still happens sometimes. But either way, LaMelo, Knuppel, Brandon Miller, and Giannis would be crazy together. Make no mistake, anybody with Giannis would be crazy, but that core would, again, that's what they need, that number 1 player. Hey, yo, Giannis, bring him in. But Xavier Tillman, you might have to trade a lot of the roster. Trey Mann, Liam McNeely. Is Liam McNeely enough? And then where were they at? 14 right now. So Braylon Mullins with the 14th pick in the draft. I guess just a bunch of UConn guys. Liam McNeely and Braylon Mullins for Giannis. Hey, yo. Seems a little light on paper, but maybe you could talk yourself into it with your number 9 pick, Braden Burrius, or maybe you get the 9 and the 14 and you trade up. You get like 1 and I guess Ayo. They don't have 31, but maybe there's some seconds for next year, a protected first in the future as well. So, or maybe you go that Brooklyn 232 combo. Brooklyn could get 2 first-round picks. Ayo, they already have enough guards, so they don't need Peterson, the good one. They can trade out of the Peterson pick and get 2 more guards and now have more players, because it's about having more players if you're Brooklyn. Not necessarily about having better players, unless you're Danny Wolf. Then obviously Danny Wolf is the perfect guy to have around there for the franchise. But I think that they might just be a piece too short if they're not willing to include one of the main 3. And maybe you could talk yourself into LaMelo there. Like you're saying, I think Giannis and Knuppel is interesting. I think Giannis and Knuppel is legitimately interesting. And then you have Brandon Miller there as well, too. Like, it's not even just you have him there. Like, that's a great potential third option role guy piece to be able to, contribute the other skill areas that you would need, but also, again, be a secondary offensive creator themselves. And I think Kobe White, I don't know exactly what contract he's still on, but that's at least like a player that you can throw back in there. Oh, Michael Porter Jr. is now the #1 most traded player on the trade machine. Hey, yo, Giannis at 4. Ty Jerome, #3. Hey, yo. I know that maybe Giannis to Charlotte, I don't know if that's the franchise move he wants to make, but I think it would be a good him not necessarily having to join like a super team per se. And not to say that anybody, we all turn a blind eye now. If Giannis joined Wemby or Giannis joined Shea, it really wouldn't matter. It's probably going to be one of those two teams. But, again, if it's Charlotte, it's perfect. Maybe we want Steph to kind of help bring Charlotte back as well, too. So, I don't know. You trade for Giannis. Can you bring in Steph at that point? But Miles Bridges is interesting. I guess we were saying LaMelo at 37. Bridges and LaMelo. That's quite a bit. Could you get Ryan Rollins back as well, too? Giannis and Ryan Rollins for Bridges and LaMelo? Imagine. I mean, you kind of have to do that trade. I might do that trade if I was Milwaukee. Not necessarily like a smart Milwaukee, but, I guess looking around, that's not bad. LaMelo and Bridges? I mean, you got something. The 9th pick. And then who did we say there? And Page's kid at #9? Hey, yo. That would be a classic. Yaxel, maybe? Getting biased. Or Barrios, like we're saying, is an option. Barrios, Mullins, our guy Koa Pete there as well too. We get him in for the combine. Maybe, if we just traded a guard for a forward, so we could maybe afford like a Cuff if he fell there, or Phylon. Imagine. But Barrios is interesting as well. Yeah, it might be Lundenborg, honestly. Lundenborg for Lundenborg and LaMelo and Bridges? Could Lundenborg be Con Knipple? I guess you gave up Ryan Rollins as well, who I don't know if he has the efficiency of Con Knipple, but does provide you a little bit of perimeter creation there. I guess we don't even know if this trade works, but it might not quite be it. Ousmane Dieng starts getting mentioned in this trade. Maybe McNeely makes it a 3-for-2, just a little bit to. Or Sion James maybe after today's game. You're thinking, oh, is Sion James the role guy to bring in? Or like we said, Diabate. Oh, it's got to be Diabate. Hey, yo. I don't know what the contract situation is there, but let's see. Sorry, McNeely, you're going back to Charlotte. It is what it is. That makes more sense. Diabate, LaMelo, and Bridges for Giannis and Ryan Rollins. Hey, yo. It is successful. And the Hornets are 6 wins better for bringing in Giannis. I mean, I guess you would expect. I guess maybe we didn't even bring in any firsts. Charlotte didn't even have to trade any picks. Just players would be kind of a interesting perspective there. And then, yeah, like we're saying, it's Knuppel, Miller, and Giannis. Like, hey, yo. Would Knuppel and Miller, would you rather have Giannis and Knuppel or Tatum and Brown? I think I'd actually, as much as we love Giannis, I think I would still probably rather have Tatum and Brown. That is an interesting, I guess, question, though. Is Giannis and who would you rather have over, that other? Because that they are going to be there next year, Tatum and Brown anyways. If you're still in the East, that is what you're going to be competing against. Would you rather have Giannis and Mitchell or Tatum and Brown? Would you rather have Giannis and Brunson than Tatum and Brown? That might be the one. Giannis and Paolo? Could you see Giannis and Paolo over Tatum and Brown? I don't know if I could quite talk myself into that. Maybe Paolo, maybe there has been versions of Paolo, but Paolo right now, or just the cumulative Paolo of the season, is, maybe that and Giannis is not quite enough to take down Tatum and Brown. And Tatum, assuming, he's going to continue to get better and more healthy as the season goes on here. Giannis and Cade versus Tatum and Brown is interesting. I mean, it's a credit to how good Jaylen Brown has gotten this year, though, that even compared to the years past, as good as he's been, that it just becomes even more undeniable that duo is, even still a core that you'd want to have and build around going forward, from a future standpoint, not even just like a year-to-year standpoint. But Giannis and Cade is interesting, and Giannis and Duren is interesting. And obviously Giannis and if I can if I can propose a 3-man core versus a 2-man core, again, it's a credit to Tatum and Brown. But if I could propose Giannis, Cade, and Duren versus Tatum and Brown, then I think you might have me there. I think you might have me there. Again, I didn't say Asar Thompson. He might have to be in the deal. If you could manage to have Giannis, Asar, Cade, and Duren, not a lot of offensive shooting, but the defense and athleticism of that lineup would be insane. Imagine having Giannis, Asar, and Duren on the court at the same time. And then if you did manage to somehow get one more pretty skill, Dennis Jenkins and Cade might be able to carry the scoring in the perimeter game enough. Again, just the defense alone, they might be able to get away with a style of play that works. But what do we say? Giannis and Mitchell is interesting. Giannis and Brandon Ingram. Giannis and Scotty Barnes. Face of the leagues. Face of Canada, Scotty Barnes. Giannis and Jalen Johnson. Giannis and Jalen Johnson is a conversation. That is for sure. Is Ricochet enough? And do they have the contracts? Giannis and Josh Giddey. Giannis and Danny Wolf. Giannis and Alex Sarr. Giannis and Dimbasta. I guess Giannis, Dimbasta, and Halliburton is interesting. Would you trade Dimbasta for Giannis? Is interesting, honestly. Hey, yo, you might just shut it down immediately from a contract standpoint, especially in the second apron. And the second apron is honestly the reason that I would hear that as well, too. Just because, again, you could literally fit more guys, under the salary cap if you bring in Dimbasta than if you bring in Giannis. It's literally the simple math. Back in the day, you know, as much as it would have been like, well, it's going to be more difficult to bring in guys with Giannis, you could still acquire those players, pay the tax, and, you know, there's an ability to have a sense of an infinite amount of skill you can have on the roster. Like, that is not to say that you can't have a quote-unquote infinite amount of skill on the roster, but again, you have to, I guess, draft it. You have to draft it. You cannot trade for it. You cannot sign it. They have, again, with the hard cap, like, literally put a limit on how much talent you can sign from a money standpoint. So it's not, I guess, in some ways, you know, I guess it is maybe a bad thing. Who knows? Is it killing the league this year? Is it that, or is it Paul schemes? I'm not sure. But, you know, it still is, again, makes those, makes how you have to acquire the team think about it differently. So I would never in 2026, never, ever, I guess never is obviously strong, but it would take us a lot of film to be able to say we would take Dimbasta over Giannis for the next couple of years. I guess Dimbasta's very, very talented. So, you know, it might only take a little bit of film. Who's to say? But, again, we love Giannis. But regardless, with the structure of the league, Dimbasta is interesting. So I think that in Halliburton, having that flexibility might be a must. It might be a must if you think Dimbasta is going to be as good as that. So I think you might have to pass on that trade if you're Indiana. If there's a Siakam in a future pick situation and you could still have Dimbasta and Giannis, see, that's the whole point of bringing in Dimbasta, though, is it's like now we have Dimbasta and we can still bring in another guy because we have a talented player on a rookie contract. That's a little bit of a, you know, a softer deal. But yeah, I think that, you know, again, it is, and like we're saying, it might just be as simple as it's going to be him basically just waiting to see what happens between San Antonio and Oklahoma City this year, and basically which of those teams are like, okay, we need to reset and win the finals. But, you know, maybe the Lakers are there as well too. Minnesota, you know, again, over the last couple of years, people would have laughed at us at the idea of having Giannis and Jokic on the same team. It was like, that's never going to happen. It's going to be too powerful. The league would never allow it. But I think it might be possible. You know, do they have the numbers to be able to put it all together? But they don't really have the picks as well too. So that might be a Jamal Murray sacrifice if you really had to think about getting it done. So obviously, if that's a Jamal Murray sacrifice, I think just based on, like we're saying, connection to the franchise, like I don't know if you could in good faith trade as good as Giannis is. Hey, yo. Oh, chat and one. Hey, yo. I guess trade machine a little slow right now this time of year because we just proposed one Giannis trade and he overtook Ty Jerome as the third most traded player on the trade machine right now. So let's go ahead and get him up to number one, chat. Let's pump the stats. Pause. But what do we say? Giannis going to where, chat? Hey, yo. Boston, Detroit, Philly. Oh, Philly. Oh, was it the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, Denver It was Jokic. It was for him to play with Jokic. So, oh, Aaron Gordon at 22 million, 30. Hey, yo, Cam Johnson 29. So obviously that makes them impossible to trade for. It is what it is. But I guess the Christian Braun, Peyton Watson things are interesting. Like if you did a sign-in trade with Peyton Watson, would you trade Watson and Braun for Giannis? I don't know. And then they do have 26, 28, 30, 31, 32. So the 31 pick, they could trade the 31 first and Braun and Peyton Watson for Giannis and just have Jokic and Giannis and Aaron Gordon. Maybe Aaron Gordon has to be in that trade as well too. That might be too much. Aaron Gordon, let's see. Christian Braun's on a poison pill right now, so it would have to be a sign and trade with Durant or what are we saying? Peyton Watson, and then Strother also included in the deal. I don't know how we got on Giannis trade machine. It is what it is. But like we were saying, interesting thought experiment to still be like, and again, I know that's one duo, obviously Tatum and Brown, but it's still a top duo. Or Wemby and Steph. It is what it is. Like as much as, and again, this is maybe the worry, as much as Wemby and Steph are great, maybe this is me being a bad Spurs fan. As much as Wemby and Steph are great, I think you still have to, with all due respect, you have to say that Tatum and Brown are the number one duo in the league. And see, that proves our unbiased journalism toward the league. That shows that we can look at the league with a little bit of an undistorted lens and see things for what they are. Wemby and Castle are second behind that duo. But Tatum and Brown, you still probably have to say that the number one duo in the league. And maybe you would take, just again, as a two-man pause, as a duo in the league, maybe you would take Jokic and Jamal Murray still over Wemby and Castle, but it's close. It's close. And again, it's a credit to the supporting cast that the Spurs have around them as well, too. Proves that they are obviously, elite in terms of making a finals run. Like, are they one of the contenders this year? And that the supporting cast helps elevate them into that second tier, because that is one thing that I would not trade. I would not trade if we took Wemby and Castle and Tatum and Brown off the board, and I know that leaves Harper as like the big piece there, to trade for in a scenario if we were doing like an expansion draft what if thing. But if it was the rest of the roster for Boston versus the rest of the roster for San Antonio, I'm easily taking the rest of the roster for San Antonio, not even just long term. That's for this year. And, I just left off De'Aaron Fox. I was thinking for trade value long term, Dylan Harper. But for this year, De'Aaron Fox as well, too. So, again, the Spurs are a little bit stacked up. OKC is the other team in that argument where their other guys would be, would make them a stronger team. But they don't really have the 1-2. I guess it would be Shea and Jalen. That's just been Jalen's been, injured for a while here. So it's been a little bit out of the consciousness. But it's Shea and Jalen versus Wemby, Castle versus Tatum and Brown. Where does Giannis have to land to fall in that group? Is it Giannis and Amen? Is it Giannis and Durant and Amen? Because I know Houston is, as they're currently, cooking up New Orleans right now, then maybe Houston's a team. Ayo, I was like, do we need to maybe eye some property in New Orleans? Would New Orleans be a fun place to settle down? You get secretly all the sports, not secretly, but you do get all the sports down there. At least football and basketball. Do they have a baseball team? Does New Orleans have? I guess New Orleans might not have a baseball team. I guess, do they have NHL? I don't know why I'm not thinking about those teams, but let's just double check. Hey, yo, the sports journalism pod has got to ask whether or not there's a hockey team in New Orleans. It is what it is. Oh, so maybe an expansion team? Oh, what is this? 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. Google AI just broke. I don't know what happened. So I guess, yeah, no NHL teams in New Orleans. That's why we couldn't think of one. And I'm assuming we can't think of the New Orleans MLB team because there's not one either. I guess you do have more Canadian teams making up for those teams that would be not there. And yeah, New Orleans does not have an MLB team. But regardless, like we're saying, we don't even know all the teams in those sports anyways. So as long as you got football and basketball, they'll be fine. I just don't know if they're going to have basketball. So is the league going to add a team but take one away from a location or move one around? I don't know. But the Connecticut Sun just sold in the WNBA. So the Connecticut Sun are moving to Houston. I don't know what that has to do with the New Orleans Pelicans, but it just seems like if teams are relocating right now, that, are the Pelicans going to be up for relocation? But again, if you do add a team in Vegas and Seattle anyways, then where would they relocate to? Because I'm sure they could find it. They could find a home. It is what it is. But at least you know that those two cities would be off the table. So at least they wouldn't be relocating to be like the Sonics. At least you would still have a Pelicans franchise. Maybe. Did Shea just airball a 3 or did they block it? I think he might have just airballed that. Hey, yo. What just happened? I'm not sure. We were talking about Pelicans, so I was watching that for a second. And the Pelicans have like this Punisher logo on their court, which I'm still trying to be like, is that actually there? It's like a pelican with scary eyes, but it looks like a Punisher logo almost from this angle. So, I mean, it is kind of cool, but there's just a lot going on with this Pelicans court. They've got the neon green words on the baseline and on the logo, plus the purple, like a neon purple on the paint, for the box. Ayo, pause. But for like the paint, for the free throw line and those types of markings. And then, yeah, the scary Punisher Pelican has red eyes. So it's just a lot of glowing colors. And then the red Rockets jerseys on top of that, and you got a red Smoothie King logo in the kind of right side of the court as well too. So again, ayo, somebody clean up the graphic design of this court for the New Orleans Pelicans. But either way, what I'm saying is that distracted us from seeing this Shea airball. 3 for 11. Is Shea currently losing the MVP? I guess I know we did check to see if Wemby was going to hit the 55 game mark, or 55. Ayo, we've already lowered it in our minds. We got to pretend like the league. We got to use AI to change the league rules. Can we ask Gemini to rewrite the NBA Constitution? I don't know. He's at 50. Oh, he's going to get there, chat. He's going to get there. So Wemby's going to win the MVP. Ooh, that's going to be exciting. Shout out. I mean, we haven't seen a Spurs guy win the MVP in longer than, winning the title. That would have been almost even more. That wouldn't have been something obvious. Since we're championship minded, then, we would have necessarily been more focused on getting that ring, more so than getting that actual MVP guy to win the award. But hey, we've got a guy that's going to win the award, so hopefully that translates into that playoff success as well too. I'm just chalking it up for it. It is what it is. But Shea, 3 for 11 tonight. He's had a couple of, he had that game against Minnesota. So that's at least 2 that he's had recently now that have been stinkers. And I guess maybe Wemby's had his recently as well. He had a 10 for 12 game against Boston tonight. Hey, yo. It is what it is, 8 for 9 against Brooklyn. So I think he's been doing just fine. 40 against Washington. I think Shea is okay. It is what it is. 31 points a game. 55% from the field. Never mind, chat. Never mind. And the fact that he's 38% from 3 is a good number. I mean, it makes sense. Why would obviously Shea not be good at being able to make a consistent 3-pointer at some point in his career? Leading the league in makes but not attempts is a fun little wrinkle for his career. I guess that's the last 3 years. Hey, yo. Forget the free throw merchant attempt. Shea, not even 10 a game, chat? Not even 10 a game. I guess minutes, a little under 36. So wait, where is he at per 36 here? Let's see. Is it up to 12 or is it just push to that that double digit mark? I guess not even per 36. He is double digits. Hey, yo. Free throw merchant storyline underrated for Shea? I mean, I didn't expect us to be pro Shea, but now that Wemby's, kind of fully overtaken him, as a player in the league, we can fairly now defend Shea again. We don't have to worry about jealousy in the best player rankings. Again, who is competing at this point in terms of just guy captivating the league and guy that you want on your roster? It's very clear that for this season, if you're trying to win the title and build a team going forward, it is what it is. I guess even more so than Jokic. Wemby is the guy that you want to have on your roster. There, I said it, chat. I said it. And I'll be the first to say it because, again, I'm a Spurs fan. So it's much, much easier for me and also, personally true. But either way, I think that for the most part, that might not be true. Again, obviously Jokic is great. And like we're saying, the non-Wemby Spurs, much better than the non-Jokic Denver Nuggets. Even though, again, that team is good enough to still be able to get a win over the Spurs in a playoff series. So we can't fully write them off. But if you only had to choose one, you know, again, you literally, it's one pick, that's it, that's all you get. And you also have to keep in mind that you're going to be competing against all the other guys you don't choose. So if you don't choose Wemby, you're going to be competing against Wemby. If you don't choose Jokic, you're going to be competing against Jokic. And I think that is the other separating factor as well, too, is that you almost don't want to compete against Wemby. And that's just, I guess, defense, you know, phrasing it as he's a great defensive player. But is his defense now more impactful than Jokic's offense? I don't even know if the stats would bear that out. We're not even going to check because I think that, again, credit to Jokic, it is just a great statistical impact that he has. But watching the game and the fact that he can score the way that he can now, and the offensive game is developing the way it is, you know, it is just becoming, you know, more and more undeniable. But I guess Shea is third. Denny Advia is second in free throw attempts per game this year. So Wemby did say that Denny Advia, you know, a lot of free throw attempts. I guess we didn't realize he was second in the league. But Doncic at 10, and then Banchero at 8 as well. So wait a second. Let's go per 36. I think is what I meant to do, to give everybody an even playing field here and see what is going on. A lot of 4s, 5s, and 6s. Hey, yo. Just talking about free throw attempts. That's all. But, yeah, 10 and 10 for Doncic and Advia. Shea at, 9.8 per 36. Zion, 9.1. Devin Booker, 8.6. Wemby, 8.5 per 36. So, yeah, see, Shea's not that much of a free throw merchant if Wemby's right there. Jaylen Brown, 7.8. James Harden, 7.9. Paolo, 8.5. And then, yeah, Jokic is 7.7. I guess Jokic is like 2 attempts behind Shea. So that's at least 1 extra foul bait per half that he's having. But still, and I guess, you know, but the way that Jokic plays, you know, he doesn't have to bait guys into, I guess he can foul bait with his size in a different way. It's a more natural way to foul bait. Brandon Williams, top 15 in free throws per game, 20 points a game. I guess 47% from the field this year. The 3-point percentage not quite keeping up. But Castle then 16 at 6.9. And he is at 20 a game per 36 as well, too. So, yeah, Ayo, we'll see, obviously, down the stretch. It's going to be a nice argument. Shea did win the argument last year, so as much as it might seem like there is going to be that narrative bias, I mean, I thought that Jokic was, I thought the push was there for him last year. I thought he might end up snagging that award from Shea, but you know, you got to give, I guess, the writers credit and Shea's credit as well, too. The writers credit, but you know, just I guess for not getting swayed, because you know Shea won the finals as well too, so it kind of proved to be the right pick, even though Jokic was, I mean, you know, good in the playoffs as well. So you know, if Wemby doesn't win the MVP and it like motivates him to win the finals, I mean, I don't think we could blame the writers for that, for picking Shea or whatever. You know, it's not gonna like look bad. I don't think Shea would make him look bad in the playoffs with an MVP performance. But you know, maybe there is gonna be, I guess, is it gonna be the Shea 1 seed? Is it the fact that they were respecting the 1 seed and the best in the league last year, or was it the willingness to be able to admit at what was happening in the moment and be like, OKC is the best team and Shea is a part of that, and not just a part of that, but leading that in a major way, and he needs to be awarded for it. And again, I guess you could definitely say that is easily the same thing here. And like I said, just reminding us of that 55% number again is insane. He needs a couple of 3 for 12s to bring this back down. Hey, yo. But again, Wemby this year, like, if you're just being undeniable about what is happening, then Wemby is the vote. If you're just going for that 1 seed, best player, best team type vote, then again, I guess Shea is the vote. Again, it worked last year because it worked both ways. He was either award was him. But the record, 2 games for, you know, OKC and San Antonio at this point, and the head-to-head record as well too. Like that, basically the overall success of the season is basically even for both those guys. So then, like we're saying, for that individual element of it, like, are they just gonna award best player, best team, or is it gonna be, you know, kind of the in the moment special thing of what's happening right now? But you see immediately just twirling off a 1 foot baseline, silky smooth jumper. Gonna have to add that into the moves list when we hit the park next time for a little pickup action. Pause it. Might, whoa, hey, yeah, we're just talking about basketball games. That's all it is. But we might actually be out tomorrow running some pickup basketball games because it's going to be a nice one, chat. Hey, yo. Gonna have to do a little basketball. See, we really call it basketball, but it's like, it's basketball, it's cardio, it's tanning, it's all that, chat. Hey, yo. See, it's like, that's how we get away with tanning. We just go out and play basketball. Just get a nice little sunburn. Again, get a workout in. Keep the skills sharp. Iron sharpens iron. So, it's a win-win. And we can't wait. It is what it is. But we also can't wait for the Tuesday live stream as well. So, hey, yo, transition. IT didn't even write that one up on the teleprompter. We hope you guys enjoyed, of course, hanging out with us tonight. And we hope you join us Tuesday as well, too. And like I said, we are here Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Of course, with the Final Four next week, the schedule may have added live stream or two. So you'll just want to stay locked into the YouTube and see what is happening there. You can, of course, follow the podcast feeds. You can message us on Instagram at REMINGTOM over there as well if you want to connect with us and message us that way. But yeah, hey, yo, of course, like we said, we are incredibly excited. Do we get an early line for the Final Four? We should see, because I genuinely have no idea. Do we steal a bit, chat? Guess the lines? I mean, as a non-biased, I'll say Arizona -1.5, but it could be Michigan 2.5. So if Michigan's going to be, if Michigan would be the team favored by more, then maybe they would be the team favored. But I don't know. Do we want to be the underdog and motivated as well too? Maybe that's a part of it. But let's see here. I guess we'll just go to the bracket and see what is going on. And that UConn-Illinois game as well too does have, that same type of mystery. Oh, it's the difference, chat. Michigan -1.5. So basically even an Illinois -2.5. So again, I guess the competitiveness for the game did get there for Duke UConn, and it really has been a great tournament. It really has been a great tournament. I know it was a little, do you say low drama in the first round, and last year as well too, just having those top teams just, power all the way through was something. Michigan and Arizona have been dominant, but, the Elite 8 Sweet 16 was pretty competitive all the way around. St. John's, Kansas competitive, St. John's, Duke UConn, I guess Michigan State, UConn, pretty competitive there. Iowa, Florida, Iowa, Nebraska, Vanderbilt, Illinois versus Houston, I guess, was kind of a slugfest, honestly. But Iowa, Illinois was a good game for most of it. And then, like we're saying, Michigan, Alabama had some high moments in it as well, too. Texas, Purdue was a battle. I guess Arizona, like we're saying, they were cruising. But, yeah, a lot of really great competitive games. That is for sure. And this is definitely going to be a great Final Four matchup as well, too. I mean, you definitely cannot say that Michigan-Arizona is the national championship game because, again, Dan Hurley is just right there. It is what it is. Dan Hurley's right there. Peja Stojakovic is right there. Andrej Stojakovic is right there. So they can't be disrespected. It's Andrej Stojakovic, speaking of Melo earlier, is this his Carmelo Anthony year? I don't know why that would be the comparison. Just because they're both, I guess it's not even that they're players' kids. It's just Melo has a kid that's playing. He is a kid that's playing. And then they both wear orange, I guess, for their jerseys. Syracuse and Illinois. That's basically the comps that we have. But, again, Hurley could easily, I guess, not easily, but, Hurley, you could definitely see at this point, could definitely have his team winning the national championship again. But, yeah, this is, like we're saying, going to be one of the, hopefully, at least anyways, just from an entertainment value standpoint, one of the high-level playoff bracket matchups that we get here. 35-3 versus 36-2. And I guess we don't have an FPI. We don't have an ESPN win indicator. Hey, yo, the one time we want to see matchup odds. It is what it is. I guess we'll have to let them cook up the stats and see what is going on there. Lundenborg at 19 a game. Brias at 16 a game. Do we view our bracket score real quick? It only feels like it's getting higher, so we'll see if it falls apart here if it's an Illinois-Arizona national championship, which it very well could be. Oh, chat! We've managed to get into the top 200K. Those advances, those late teams making it definitely helped. Hey, yo, us getting Petty versus Purdue after they won over Michigan in the Big Ten championship definitely hurt our overall score. We honestly might have had a legitimately great bracket if we had not been Petty. There, I guess maybe not legitimately great. It would have been like kind of an okay bracket if we had not been Petty. But maybe that karma for the pettiness, you know, helped us in other spots of the bracket. I don't know. Pause. But either way, going 4 for Final Four. And I guess it depends on how you count up points as well, too. If it's a straight 1 for 1 across the board, obviously the success of the earlier rounds where you just have more games is going to be important. But if you can equal the score, I mean, come on, you got 320 points, I guess, available here in the final round. Like, how many points can you even get in the first round as well? I guess 1,600 points max. So points lost. Oh, chat. Hey, yo. How many points have we lost? We can only see the ones that we lost. But 320 of 320 in the Elite 8. So we'll take that. 200 of 320 in the Sweet 16. 220 of 320 in the round of 30. I guess just 320 points available every round. Okay, so I kind of see what they're doing there, keeping the score weighted the same for getting games right. So picking one game, you know, picking, I guess, you know, a couple of games right in the first round is like picking one game right in the Final Four. But either way, to our benefit, you know, we're not going to complain about it there. So, hey, if we get the national championship right, you know, we could be looking pretty sick as well. I think the score is going to be a little bit higher than what we predicted it to be. But top 5,000 in our first take group. There it is, chat. There it is. So, boom, 99.4%. I think this might be a new all-time record for REMINGTOM pod bracket. Like we said, this is, you know, could very well be the peak. Indianapolis, chat, for the Final Four. We might have to go. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Can anybody get us seats? Does anybody have any connects? I don't know. But either way, we'll be back Tuesday. We'll be looking forward to it. We've got some fun anniversary stuff lined up this week, and we can't wait for the Final Four next week. Of course, it is going to be great. We'll go enjoy this fourth quarter of Thunder versus Knicks. There is, like I said, another game on after this. So, you know, fun night of NBA for you out there. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of days. Tuesday night. Can't wait. We'll see you there, chat. Peace.